Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 150. I should have planned something special, but I dropped the ball. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, though, so it's all good. It's all good. My name is Greg. I am the Bad Daddy 52. I am joined by my co-host and friends, and together we are geeks chasing squirrels across the multiverse. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have a lot of stuff to talk about because guys finally talked me into watching something.
We are all caught up this week, which is very rare, and it's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about on top of the news and everything else that's dropped. So it's a big week for us. Ross, what's up?
Yes.
Man, I just under the wire was messing around trying to get a website up and going. Got it nailed. Now I'm like, let's talk some stuff because I don't want to work anymore.
Yeah. No, hey, internet problems are a big deal. As you could see last week, Ross caped up and finished the show for me because my internet was just totally taking a shit. And this week I'm totally back up and running. They buried a new line for me, put a whole new cable main line in there. They said that the main line I had to have been 15 to 16 years old. And I was like, well, I've lived here for 3 years, so something's not adding up here.
Did you tell them that was their fault? I'm like, it's
Yeah,
not my
so
line. I didn't
right.
put it in the
I
ground.
said
So
your line is 15 to 16 years old. Exactly. So, but anyway, let's talk about some stuff. We got a big week in shows. We have yet another premiere this week. That's 3 weeks in a row with premieres. That's pretty good stuff. I'm not saying it's us, but I'm going to take credit. But we have some news first. Ross, I know is it D20? It's not D23 this weekend. It's Disney Plus weekend, right?
it's D23.
It's
But I
D23.
mean, this
Okay.
D23 Expo, but they basically consider it, with Disney Plus being their main headliner, they kind of interchange the names. But
Right.
it's the same place that Star Wars Celebration was at. I think they're still at the Anaheim Convention Center. So it's a 3-day event. I think today they talked about the new video games that we're dropping. I mean, I'm not a massive gamer, so I didn't get to it. Plus, I was busy. But I can tell you that I know that tomorrow is supposed to be the big panel where they're going to be doing a bunch of the drops. So we got to see a sneak peek of what like Marvel is going to be doing over at Comic-Con earlier in July, I believe it was. And then you'll get the Lucasfilm news. I expect that we're probably going to be getting. We may not get the trailer for Mandalorian, but we'll probably at least get the date. And then there may be sneak peeks from some other stuff.
We got to see some Andor stuff, right?
Well, so yesterday was a big release day for Disney Plus, and yesterday they dropped Love and Thunder. They dropped the behind the scenes for Love and Thunder, and they dropped a 9-minute special for Andor, basically just a scene out of the show, and some other things, like Pinocchio and like some other kiddier stuff. But as far as Andor, I would imagine that they have pretty much blown their wad on everything they're going to show us. And I mean, you're talking. I think it's the 21st. I think is when it comes out, and I believe it's a 3 episode drop on the 21st. So, I don't know how much they're going to show you.
I haven't heard one person say a bad thing about Andor yet, which is always good going in.
Well, I have a couple of takes on that personally, but I mean, like, I imagine it's only because, I mean, it doesn't ruffle a whole lot of feathers.
Right.
What up, Tim?
Well, I mean, hey, so what are your takes on it? I mean, we're talking about it right now. I don't have a lot to say about it other than I'm excited for it, and I love Rogue One. So
I think on the positive side, that is continuing off of Rogue One. So I think that it's cool that they keep telling a story that is definitely more on the ground. I would equate this to probably more of a drama show. Initially they talked about 5 seasons of this, and then Tony Gilroy came out and said there's just no way he can do 5 seasons of it. Even if he had the story, 5 seasons of a show with himself directing it and what's his name acting, it's still a lot. And he said, we can do it, but I don't know if we want to do it. So that's why he backed it down to.
Yeah, I don't think I want 5 seasons of it, to be honest with you. I feel like it's too much.
It's the type of show that could go and run that distance and not really feel over the head with Star Wars, because it's not going to include a whole lot of Force and Jedi. So it's going to be much more story based, drama based, and it's on the Star Wars. I said that I wanted to know a little bit more about what was going on in the behind the scenes, and this is definitely a conversion period of going from the old Senate to what we know the Empire to be.
Okay.
And I think this show is going to do a really good job with that. The negative side of it is that the casting doesn't ruffle anyone's feathers, so it's not causing a bunch of fan hate. And I say that's negative because that's a big problem with a lot of things that we watch.
Yeah,
And,
any news is good news type deal, even if
Yeah.
it's getting hate news. Yeah, you're right.
So this show's not really getting it because, luckily, and knock on wood, that it won't.
Yeah.
It's so close to coming out, and it's gotten pretty good reviews critic-wise. I just hope it doesn't get fan bashed on the way out.
And that's kind of my fear right there, to be honest with you, because generally I don't know why it works out like this. Whenever critics love it, fans hate it, and vice versa. When critics hate it, fans love it. So it's very rare you have that comment that one show / movie that the fans love and the critics love, and I'm hoping this show can be that because I'm really looking forward to it, and it looks good for everything I see on it. Now, you said there was a 9-minute kind of thing on it. I saw that earlier on Disney Plus. Have you watched that yet? The 9-minute.
I did.
Making.
It was just like an extended scene of part of a scene that we've already seen. How many times can I say scene? But it's it gives you more context to the scene. It's when him and Skarsgård are talking, and everyone seems to like Diego Luna. So if he keeps up with this type of dialogue and intelligence that he keeps showing in the clips that we've seen, then I would expect the show is going to be fantastic. So it just elaborated on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching that after the show. I wanted to watch it beforehand, but once again, just ran out of time. Daughter made softball team, had to celebrate. It's a must.
Good day.
Yeah, very good day. So, what else, man?
The bigger Star Wars news is that they have an Ezra Bridger now for live action Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
A couple hours ago, well, about a day ago, they finally actually brought the name on. The guy's name is Eman Esfandi, and I think he had a role in. I can't remember the name of the movie anyway right now, but he's going to be our Ezra Bridger. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's got the look. In the pictures that they dropped of him, he even has the long hair, which Ezra eventually shaved his head. So be curious on what they're going to do with that. But I think it's cool. We knew that they were going to have to put Ezra in there if they wanted to tell the story that everyone thought that would be like their shoe-in win for Ahsoka. So I'm interested in it. Guy looks like he can pull it off. It's not his first thing that he's ever done, so we should be able to hit the ground running with a pretty good character.
Yeah. So is this
you
the
would know
reason
more
why
about him if you watched Rebels?
I was going to say, is this the reason why you're telling me I need to watch Rebels? Because
just a little bit, just a little.
I have the whole weekend off. I have tomorrow with a lot of free time, and I was thinking about turning on some Rebels. I actually almost turned it on the other day. I can't remember what stopped me, but there was something that stopped me, and I was like, "Nah, I got to do this first." I almost started, so I'm right there on the cusp of starting Rebels again. And by the way, I am through season 1, so I only got 3 more seasons to watch. So, but I'm at least there a little bit.
Ahsoka's going to be coming out, and I know that they said that they wrapped, or they're wrapping production, so they're getting close. So the introduction of this guy, I don't know if they're going to be how they're going to be putting Ezra in, because I know that Rosario was making the rounds and basically said that she was hoping for the automatic season 2. I don't think they gave that information out yet. I would imagine it could come out this weekend. It could come out tomorrow whenever they do their little panel. So, it's another thing where an actor or actress loves to work, so they want the next season of the show to be announced.
Well, how often do we get an automatic season 2, though, in anything? I think the only thing I can think of that's been like that has been Well, I can only think of Halo. They got an automatic
I
season
mean,
2. Like what else has got an automatic season 2? Even Sandman hasn't gotten that yet. And Neil Gaiman's talking about taking his show to another streaming service because of that.
well,
At least,
Rings of Power is getting a second season.
well, when
House
you
of
spend $1
Dragons
billion
got a
on
second
something,
season.
you better expect to have a second season.
Yeah, I mean, but
And House of
what
Dragon,
I'm
okay, I can understand that. Yeah, that makes sense.
like I'm saying, I mean, like they know that a lot of these shows. Here's the problem: we get Netflixed, and then we think that it's never going to happen again. We think that whatever they're going to create will only be the one season. Prime just gave the X to Paper Girls, I think, and I heard people talking fairly highly about that, just not in like geek circle stuff. And so Prime didn't hesitate to cut that one after one season. So a lot of the, well, once again, a lot of the shoe-in shows like HBO making House of Dragon and then Prime making Rings of Power. Yeah, you put that much money into it, you created the universe. They know the House of Dragon's going to keep going.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they ran Game of Thrones for 8 seasons.
And you're right. You could put House of Dragon out there for one season, and based on the popularity of Game of Thrones, you're going to get tons of views off that, even if it's horrible. People are going to watch it the whole season through. Which, by the way, it's not. But
and so, like a lot of the stuff that we watch on like Disney Plus isn't really designed. I mean, it's meant to be a foundation. It's not meant to be like an ongoing platform for these things to keep running. Loki and What If are getting a second season, but those are the types of shows that aren't doing the same work that like She-Hulk and WandaVision was doing a carryover and to give you the background to go into Multiverse of Madness. And then we get the Falcon story, how he becomes Captain America. Those were all transitory stories.
right.
So they don't require a second season. Exactly.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, and there's a reason why. I get, maybe in my mind, that's why Loki and What If are two of the best shows they put out as far as shows go. Maybe because they're going to be continuing shows. I don't know. I felt like with a lot of the stuff that Marvel's put out so far, minus those two shows, it's really been just kind of, after I watch 2 or 3 episodes, I'm ready to just see them in a movie. I don't need to see anything else. I don't need to see the rest of the season.
Fair.
So, but that's just me. There are plenty of people who love it out there. So, but yeah,
Star Wars is a different direction. Like Andor came out of the gate saying they're going to make 5 seasons of that thing, and they dialed it back because they got smart. You can't overcommit. You don't want to. We don't have time for that. But even Mandalorian, I mean, the second season was announced pretty fast. Boba Fett, I mean, Tamora Morrison really wants. I mean, Tim wants to play Boba Fett forever, but I don't think that they may not give him the opportunity to do so.
Well, he can at Comic-Cons and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
He can make his money doing
run
that.
the circus,
Boba
man.
Fett. Yeah, I'll pay for it if he's there.
Absolutely.
I'd go see him. Yeah, hell yeah. Kidding me?
Get him to make one of those beast faces.
Yeah.
Other than that, like Star Trek, we got a date for Picard season 3.
Because we did have Star Trek Day, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did.
Unfortunately, kind of. We had Star Trek Day, only in ceremony, right?
There's 2 words. I started watching it, and as soon as I like Reggie Watts from what's the late night show he's on?
I don't know.
Anyway, he's a digital music guy, and he's on a bunch of different things that I watch. I like him, but the moment that he was there and he started like playing music, I'm like, oh, like I can get down with your beats. I got a rap. Are you ready? Amateur hour. That's what this whole show is going to be. It's going to be amateur hour, and that's what it was. Like it felt very amateur.
Yeah.
I hated it. They had the woman who voices. My God, what's the main character on Lower Decks? What's her name?
Talking about Beckett.
Yes.
Okay. Tony Newsom?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Close.
I can't argue it. Yeah.
And her and the guy that she does a Star Trek podcast with were hosting it, and that wasn't a bad thing. But the prompter kept screwing up, the image, everything kept dropping off of the Paramount stream. I mean, like it was just amateur hour. You got to see some cool things. Everyone came out for each panel that they were doing and immediately dropped the footage that they had brought so they could talk about it because they had nothing else to really talk about after that.
At least we got to see some cool stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think Star Trek's always been like that, though. They've always been the little brother in the fantasy world. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all the Star Trek stuff I've seen so far, but
Just their marketing people. They need more marketing people.
It's hard for me to find fans who are like really hardcore Star Trek fans. Now, however, when I do find Star Trek fans, they are hardcore Star Trek fans. Star Trek fans are devoted. Okay, they're few and far between, but they are very devoted. So I can give them that.
I mean, Star Trek's always been a different breed of fandom in like my head, but at the same time, they're all kind of different. You know, like we are fantasy heavy right now with the shows that we have on TV, and it's more mainstream than like anything else, which is really hard to believe because it's extreme fantasy, and those shows are more mainstream. Star Trek makes so much more sense and could be realistic, and hopefully one day, you know, we do live in a utopia kind of like that, but who knows?
Of all the universes that I watch, Star Trek is by far the most realistic. Even though it is insanely in the future and a bunch of stuff you never see, it seems like the most realistic way the world would go when we do advance, because we will, when we do advance to that mode in life in the universe. So, or we're ready for that higher level, I guess they say in Marvel.
There's another show. I'm going to keep telling you to watch it. I'm not even going to mention it right now, but I'm going to tell you. I mention it nonstop on this show. It's more realistic than anything. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
You got to watch it.
Yeah, you must be talking about Wheel of Time.
Oh,
that
no.
The only thing I think is Wheel of Time. My wife saw the preview of that and she was like, "What is that? That's something you like." I was like, "Yeah." I didn't give it a chance, and Ross said it was garbage, so I didn't watch it. Like,
here's the thing.
I think you might be talking about The Expanse.
I think you might be.
Someone knows. And actually, there's a whole other show which feels like a prequel to that show. So, I mean, there's two of them out there that I think are fantastic. But you bring up Wheel of Time, and with the first episode of Rings of Power that I watched, I was like, this is what Wheel of Time should have felt like. It doesn't need all of the elves and orcs and everything else, but the feel of this universe. I know they spent a lot more money on it. Don't get me wrong. But the people looked dirty and sweaty when they were walking for days on end. Wheel of Time, everyone's like, I just got out of the shower. I'm living in, in this massive place that doesn't actually have showers. And yet
rookie mistake. That's what it sounds like. Rookie mistake. Yeah. So.
Other than that, they're adding the character of Strange New Worlds. We didn't get to see anything much of that. So Star Trek was pretty simple, and not a whole lot has dropped elsewhere. Netflix, Morbius is on Netflix. If you guys are ready for Morbius.
I saw that today. Yes, I almost watched it, and I was like, nah, not right now. Another day, another time.
Not even on a service that I pay for. Am I going to watch Morbius?
Yeah, well, I had that. What is it? The first War Machine. What was the actor's name who played him? Before he got changed to Don Cheadle.
Yep.
I keep wanting to say Forrest Whitaker, but it's not him.
It's not different. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
the scene with him where he looks at the Iron Man suit and the first time he's like, next time. That's me. Every time I look at Morbius on screen, I'm like, next time.
It's not a terrible movie. I don't believe it is.
I haven't seen it yet, so I can't judge it. It's just. And I was excited when I heard about it when it came out, because like Morbius is a great character from the original animated series in the 90s that I loved, and he's a huge part of that story. And I don't mind Jared Leto. So like everything about this movie says watch it. I just haven't done it yet.
But I mean, you haven't watched Rebels, so I mean, I understand.
That's true.
I get it. I understand.
My priorities are kind of messed up. So.
Tough life, and we just keep putting cigarettes on you there, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Watch Rebels. Watch it.
Well, was there any more news? Do you want to hop into some shows?
No, man, that's it, man. More than a whole lot. It's a pretty slow week giving all the things that come out. Like another Black Adam trailer, but that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like I'm kind of done seeing Black Adam trailers. I just want to see the movie now.
Yeah.
Like it looks good. I'm sold. You
They
got my
dropped
money. When
another
it comes out in
character.
theaters, I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna buy a ticket. But
Yeah.
you said they dropped another
Are
character?
tickets even on sale?
I don't think so. I probably would have already bought one.
I don't know.
October 25th, I think, is when it comes out, right? Something like that.
21st, I
I'm
think.
just ready to see
21st.
Violence.
Okay, it's right around my anniversary. I know that because that's my anniversary weekend movie that I'm gonna go see. So, yeah. Well, it has The Rock in it. My wife will like it. But all right. Well, let's talk about some shows then. We got a lot this week. We got Lower Decks. We got Rings of Power, She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, and Cobra Kai.
Dude, I gotta talk about She-Hulk. I gotta talk about She-Hulk.
Let's start with She-Hulk.
I gotta get it
down.
out. I just gotta
Rip
get
it
it out.
off.
I've got stuff I want to say too. So yes, let's get. And I think you and I are on the same page here. So let's go. Let's do it. She-Hulk. See, is episode 4 this week? We got
Yep.
okay.
Yes.
Episode 4.
Is this not real magic? That's the name of it.
Lay it on me, Sarah.
This show, it's fun, but it's like, oh my God, really? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I just feel like there's just so much breaking that fourth wall I can't with that. I'm over
It's not working, right?
It's not working for me.
It's not working for
honest
me.
to God,
Yeah.
it's not working for me.
Yeah.
The whole, I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know. It's one of I can't really put in. It's just a feeling I have where I'm just watching it. I'm just like, really, and I don't even know if I can really articulate or explain why. There's just something. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the whole back and forth from Jennifer, the She-Hulk. It's like it's like I don't want to be She-Hulk, but I'm gonna be She-Hulk. I'm just a lot of it. I don't know if it's just pretentious. A lot of it. It's just, or it's like I said, to me, it just feels more and more like a farce. And I just can't shake that feeling, but I'm still going to watch it. Don't get me wrong. Cause there's some stuff I do like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I've just got this overall feeling of just like, you're sitting there watching it like, really? Seriously? They went there? Okay.
Right.
All right. So I don't know, but it's almost like she's fighting with herself. It's like, she's got this popularity contest she's fighting.
And I think that's kind of what they're trying to hit you on the head with.
Yeah.
Is they're fighting her.
Because she wants to be her authentic self as Jennifer. She's like, I'm here. I'm cool chick. I think she's a cool chick. I mean, I'd hang out with her. Mm-hmm. But then you throw the She-Hulk in it because it's almost like, she's more glamorous. She's more this, she's more that. I mean, it's like a new toy. Like when a guy gets a new toy, that kind of thing. It's nice and shiny. We're going to show it off and all that kind of shit. She could just be sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And some of these guys, just like, the dating thing. And I'm thinking, Lord, if I was a Hulk and some of these, I'd have smacked them right across the damn, because I'm like, really? I think the only thing that really rang true was just like, did you just call me a specimen? I really felt that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you say you felt that, because I can understand that when somebody says it like that in that sense. But I think you and I are on the same page with this show's kind of waning on us. We're like, I'm done seeing this show. I'm just ready to see her in the movies. I've accepted the character of She-Hulk. I like the actress who plays her. I like the character She-Hulk. But I don't want to see her in these meaningless, pointless roles of this show just to put her out there. It seems like whatever 24 or 28 minutes they put out there every week, it's like, wow, you could have summed this whole thing up in 5 minutes, and I probably still wouldn't have cared about what you're talking about at all right now either way. I just want to know what her interaction is with the Avengers and what's going to happen in the future. I don't really particularly care about a lot of things going on in the show. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, it's my opinion, and anybody who likes it, you're not wrong, and I hold no begrudge. I have no, nothing against you for liking it. Just me personally, the show is kind of like, it's one of those shows where I'm looking at my watch to see when it's going to end. The jokes don't hit very, very good. I don't like the fourth wall breaking. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. When I went into it, I knew this was going to be a woman empowerment show, and I'm fine with that. Okay. And I knew they were going to be doing some men bashing and this and that, and then portraying stereotypes of certain men. That's cool. I get that because that happens. But they're starting to beat me over the head with it. And they're starting to beat me over the head with it, and they're starting to make moves after that are like, well, if you act like this, then this is what you get. So what do you really expect? First of all, I'm just going to put it out there. Well, I'm going to ask you first, Sarah. you're a lady. Do you see, because on the show, about 90% of the men you see are chauvinistic pigs who do nothing but degrade her and treat her like a piece of meat. When you go out in the world, Sarah, do 90% of men treat you like that?
When you were single, you should clarify.
No, single or not, doesn't matter, because when a guy walks up to you, he doesn't know if you're single or not. So single or not.
Well, and it's kind of a loaded question because especially in my line of work, it's more of a men's field to begin with.
Right.
So I've dealt with a lot of guys that think that they, if I answer the phone or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, can I speak to a man?" Like,
I get that.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why it hits me like that because I mean, yes, I've had a few guys in my time that just strut right on up thinking they're God's gift to anything that just, and I'm like, okay. And 9 times out of 10, I can see past that. I'm not going to talk about my high school boyfriend, but anyways, I think that was the one that pulled the wool over my eyes. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I guess what just really gets me is just the whole, coming to grips with, she wants to be herself. She wants to be Jennifer, but yet now, especially with work, she has to be She-Hulk. And then, of course, in the very beginning, Bruce is hitting her over the head where, okay, now that you're a Hulk, you've got to be a superhero. You've got to be. So it seems like, and that's the thing that with this show that's hit me, is like trying to put her in all these different little molds.
Right.
Like you're trying to say, you've got to be this, but because you're this, you've got to be this.
Right.
And I think that's what's grating on me. Because it was like, I know, especially like with the dating thing, it was like, okay, well, I can't be Jennifer. I can't get a hot guy. I can't do this, whatever. But yet She-Hulk, but she's still the same person. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to me, and I guess maybe it's just a lot of that. I don't know. Just it's not a very deep show. And I think that's what's getting me. I think I need a good story. I think that was the thing with Hawkeye. That was one I wasn't really crazy about, but it had a meaningful story at some point.
Right.
And I think that's what I'm missing with this.
Well, I think this show's trying to hit too much of the social justice woke mindset to have a really good story. Like it's trying to really pound home woman empowerment and everything else. And I get that. Like I said, I'm all for women empowerment. I'm all for men doing the same thing men can do and everything else. I'm not arguing that. I don't agree with them portraying 90% of men to be complete chauvinistic assholes, especially whenever on this show you're having her join a dating site, first of all, which I don't care what you say. When you join an online dating site, most of the people on that are looking just to get fucked. Basically, they're just looking for a hookup, basically.
Looking for a good time.
So when you put yourself out there like that, this is what you get. And then furthermore, when she finally finds somebody that she finds worthy, the doctor who seemed interested in her, she fucks him the first night. She takes him home and fucks him the first night. It's like, come on. What are you trying to portray? What are you trying to portray about men being like this when you did that as soon as you found somebody you found suitable, you took him home and fucked him? Like, seriously.
And I had a problem with that because, like I said, she met him as She-Hulk, but then like the next morning, she's like, "Oh well, he's like, who are you?" She's like, well, "It's me." I'm like,
and I had a problem with that too. That bothered me because one, a guy shouldn't be like that to begin with, but two, you put yourself in that position. Like you really did. Like, what do you expect when you're on a website? It's like I tell my daughters, we'll go to the drive-in, and there'll be boys there, and they'll be talking to the boys, flirting with the boys. Oh, let me get your Insta. How about you just get my phone number? How about that? How about instead of me and you trying to learn everything that we put out there that we think people will like, I talk to you and actually learn about you.
Dude, we're old school.
That's what I'm saying, though. That is a problem in this society, and people portray it as right now, well, all men are pigs. No, you're on a fucking dating site where people are looking to fuck. And by the way, the first opportunity you got, you did it. So are those men any worse than you? Seriously. All I'm saying.
Like I said, it's about equality because guys can do it. Yeah. Hey, chicks, we can do it too.
No, I agree. So you should be able to do it.
This whole show is a struggle.
Just don't complain about it if you do it too. That's all I'm saying.
The whole show is a struggle for her. It's for her to figure out who she is. That's the only premise of this whole entire show. Because they're not going to introduce people by the looks of it. They're telling side stories. They brought in Wong, thank God, because I think it's hilarious, and I love what they're doing with it.
He's saving the show. Yes.
To your point about like what, like the way that like they're portraying the guys on it. What does it say? Yeah.
So, watch out,
Sorry.
Espresso
That's
says
the world, man.
he asked the girl for a number and she gave me her Discord name. Yeah, I guess that's the world. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I am not dating now. That I am done with that. That like I'm so
Amen.
glad that it's done.
And that's where
Like,
I'm gonna bring this point to, is that I mean, I don't know what your experience is with being in like much larger metro areas, and so in cities like San Francisco and LA and New York, I mean, I've been around those circles and I've
Mhm.
seen plenty of exactly what they're showing on TV,
Yeah.
and I understand that it's all perception. Everything is perception. What you're getting out of it, what your life experience has taught you. But I've seen plenty of this. I've also seen it go the opposite direction too. You know, I mean, there's plenty of it out there in both directions, and I'm not going to say one side's better than the other, but I can totally buy everything that they're talking about. It doesn't
yeah.
feel out of place. The
Yeah.
fourth wall stuff, some of it hits with me, some of it doesn't. Most of it I'm fine with. But what they're doing is they're just trying to establish a character, and I'm fine with it. Like I was laughing my ass off. I've known so many people, not known them personally, but I've been in places where plenty of Madisons have showed up and acted
Mhm.
like that and stumbled and fumbled. And I mean, they think that they're the best thing that walks on two legs. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
All the little things too, you know. I mean, dude, Jen's wallpaper on her phone is Captain America's ass. I don't know if you're paying attention to that.
I didn't pay attention to that. No.
When the actual thing showed up with no matches, you know, because everyone on the internet's like, why is that a notification? Why is it?
Right.
I totally get where you're going with it too. She's struggling to figure out who she is. That's why she went on there with the She-Hulk persona and was like, maybe I get a date this way. Whatever. I mean, look, I enjoy it. It's 20 minutes. It's real fast. I can laugh my ass off and be done with it. And like I said, the whole thing with Wong and Sopranos, and then you throw Madison in there. I thought that all of that
but
was
then
funny.
again, I'm
Even
like,
the
oh my
last
god, what are they doing to
was
Wong? I'm like, he's supposed to be stoic. He's supposed to be. They're like
I love that part. Yeah.
woking him.
But it's
I don't
funny,
know,
right?
it's crazy.
The
It's funny. I mean,
Sopranos thing was great. Yeah,
the
I
whole
did
point
love
when
that.
she spoiled it for him, and I'm just like, I was there. Like I remember same thing like Game of Thrones, man. Like people started opening their mouth. I'm like, you better shut your mouth. Like I will seriously knock you out if you spoil this for me.
La,
I
la,
guess
la,
my
la,
problem
la.
is with this whole show is I guess the shallowness of it. I think that's what's really. I think that's the gist of it. I'm like I said, I'm. It's not the fact I'm not enjoying it. It's because I have laughed plenty of times. I mean, because I've known a couple of Madisons in my life. But other than
Have you ever been in Madison?
I'm gonna play the fifth on that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair
that was. We were talking about
And-
20s.
and that's my other thing, too,
Long
is-
time ago.
At least they portrayed Madison in here to show that, like, while they're bashing men over the head in the show, and the only guy they have in the show that's an actual gentleman and is not even gentleman,
I
is
don't
like
think
not
they
a
are.
pig, happens to be Adrian Chase from
Mhm.
fucking Arrow, who
Yes.
is the biggest dickhead I've ever known. So when
I
I
was
look
gonna
at
say
him, I can't see him as a nice guy. Like, I'm like, he's lying. He's lying. Whatever he's saying, he's lying. Because he's Adrian Chase, man. Like, come on. He was vigilante. Like, this guy is lying, whatever he's saying. But yeah, Jay Stubbs in the chat says he's not feeling She-Hulk. I'm kind of the same way, dude. I don't hate it. It's not terrible. But I'm just kind of ready to be done with it. Like, I'm kind of ready to. I like the character. I'm ready to see her in the movies because I think that she's a really good character. I like the actress. But all this little stuff that's going on between here, for me,
I just
it's
need
just
some
not
direction. I just need some direction. Give me
the
some
story's
direction.
not working for me.
That's
So
all. But I mean,
More Meg the Stallion.
yeah, there you go. More Meg the Stallion.
Yeah,
You know-
come on, dude.
Ross, you showed the clip of them when they filmed that scene of them twerking
Yeah.
at the end, and you'd mentioned like how much fun they had to have had. And you're right, like while I had issues with that scene opposed to other scenes, I didn't have a problem with that scene because I don't care. It's a it's whatever. But it was cool to see. It is fun to see how much fun these actors have while they're doing this stuff.
Yep.
But what's funny is I never, and this is just me once again, I never see like stories or like videos or pictures of how terrible it is but I hear about how terrible it is for the actors that work 6 months out of the year making millions of dollars a year. I hear about how terrible their lives is, but all I ever see is great videos from filming about how much fun they're having. It's really weird how that works out. I'm just saying, you know.
Well, that's why I always watch the all the expanded universe, not expanded universe, whatever the behind the scenes stuff is for the Marvel stuff that they do for the shows and movies, because all of that looks like fun. All of the
Right.
whatever the longest name possible that Disney created for the Star Wars behind the scenes of the Mandalorian, blah 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 blah, the Galleria thing. Dude, the first season of the Mandalorian behind the scenes thing for that.
That was
I
amazing.
loved all the episodes.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's like, it was way too long. I'm like, yeah, but look at all of the stuff that they gave us. It was so cool. And the second one for the second season was one episode. And I'm like, I miss all the other stuff because it's all fun. You know, everyone's having the time of their life. But yes, you're right. On other things, it does feel like it's pulling teeth and nails just to get the actors to be happy. So that's why I like all this stuff.
And like I said, I'm not there. I don't see exactly what happens with the actors all the time. I just know I hear all the time how these actors are mistreated and everything else. And it's like, dude, you work 6 months out of the year, you make millions of dollars, and everything I ever see is you having a really good time. So I have a hard time believing how hard your life is while I'm working 60 hours a week at my grinder job, you know, to barely make ends meet. Just saying. That's just me. But I don't know.
All right. Well, push on.
You done with She-Hulk? Anything else? I mean, look, in a 24-minute episode, there's not a ton to talk about. You know, she went through some dating apps this week, dated a guy, she fucked a guy who, you know, meeting him the first time,
and just
whatever.
told him off.
She's not judged. Yeah, took him home, fucked him. Yeah. And then she fought some gremlins.
Oh God!
But beyond that, there wasn't really a lot that happened in this episode.
The different dimension thing. I mean, like I thought that was a nice.
That was an Easter egg, I
goblin.
think. I think that's setting up for a story later on. Them talking about how easily it is, and that's what this show gives you. You know,
is what I'm on board with for all the Marvel stuff. Everything leads into something else, and it's all fun. So at the end, she gets in trouble. She's going to go to court because the girl's ass who she kicked, Titania, is suing her for the trademark of the She-Hulk name.
Yeah.
So, we'll see where that goes. I don't know.
No, Jay's types I did not work at Grindr.
I did catch that too. It sounded like
wait
you
a second.
said that when you were working Grindr.
Your Grindr.
If the Madison show doesn't get announced tomorrow, I'm gonna be disappointed. And they're announcing all the Disney Plus stuff.
Sadly enough, that Madison show, I feel like after 2 or 3 episodes would be about as interesting as what She-Hulk is right now. And I hate saying it like that, but it really would be, because you're basically following the same thing. You're following the life of a girl through the day, and that's pretty much it. You know?
Yeah, it's not that fun.
But we're 4 episodes in. We're halfway through the season. The next half could blow me away. They could come up with some storyline and plot in the future to really, you know, dig into what's going on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, I've seen a lot of shows that it takes about 4 episodes for it really to take off. So we'll see. I was really hoping this week was going to be that week for She-Hulk, but when I got done watching it, I was like, ugh.
Dude, you watch. Wait, like last 2 episodes, everyone like blow our minds. You watch.
Yeah, they could. I hope they do. I really hope they do, and it's very possible with Marvel. Very, very possible. So I know that Daredevil's coming, and I still haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
So I want to see what brings that in. So yeah, there's still a lot of interesting stuff that could happen.
Well,
but
she's got to go to court now, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, she might need
Would she need representation? Really?
I mean, she can do it for herself. Maybe she's not good with patents.
Yeah.
Maybe she's good with criminal law.
Oh, well, check it out. Since Cody's here, Cody, we got Lower Decks, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, and Cobra Kai left to talk about. Of all those, what have you watched?
Let's see. I watched the third the Rings of Power.
Okay.
And I definitely watched Hot D.
Okay.
Cobra Kai, I literally just saw they had a new episode this morning. So I have not watched the newest Cobra Kai.
New season, brother.
Yeah, they already dropped the season.
Yeah.
Right, because it's on Netflix. So they dropped the whole series. Yeah, okay. So no, I have not seen Cobra Kai yet. And I don't even know that other show you said. So
Lower Decks. All right. Well, let's push Lower Decks and Cobra Kai to the back then. Since Cody's here right now, we'll go ahead and talk about Rings of Power and Hot D. Let's start with Rings of Power. both these shows are amazing. I have a hard time figuring out which one truly, honestly, is my favorite at this point in time. I don't care what people say. I am loving Rings of Power, especially after this episode. It really, really starts to get thick. Like, this is a great show for me. Looks beautiful. My wife, it was on the television. My wife was just kind of glancing at it, and she was looking at she was like, wow, that is really beautiful scenery. I was like, hell yes, it is. They did a phenomenal job. And that's one thing Lord of the Rings has always done. A great job of every kind of scenery or CGI they've done. It's phenomenal. So I'm loving this show so far. I'm all the way through episode 3. Let me get some overall thoughts from y'all, and we'll start breaking the episode down. Cody, you're not a big Lord of the Rings guy, but are you liking the show?
So, yes. However, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum than you. This episode, especially when compared to the first two, I didn't like it as much. There were some moments in this episode that just kind of felt like, I don't know, like, but there's two moments specifically. I'm enjoying the show. I do like, it's definitely different. It's a classical fantasy, and I like it for those reasons. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I have a few gripes that we can get to at some point, but I mean, for the most part, it's still one of the most beautiful shows that I've ever seen. Um, I'm just wanting more from a character development perspective. I think a few of the characters in this episode came off a little one note to me.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
What you think?
Which ones were they?
So it's Galadriel. You know the part when, and again, you're gonna have to help me with names. Like how I am with House of the Dragon, I'm the opposite with. So, the major city that they're in, that they go to, when the guy saved them on the boats and they go into the city, but then at that certain point, she's there with the guy, and she's like, "I need you to give me an escort," and basically, you better fucking do it. And if you don't get out of my way, I'll make my way there myself. And it's like, come on, you're such a badass. You thought you're gonna walk through an entire army of people? Like, do you have that much plot armor that you're just not in danger? Like, you're such a badass. And it's like, when they do that, it's not believable anymore. It's like, so much of a fantasy is like trying to pull you in and make you suspend your disbelief. I feel like there are moments when the show is so big and the characters are so grandiose that they kind of fail at doing that. It kind of loses its sense of groundedness when you have Galadriel, who's just like, yeah, I'll kick anyone's ass at any time, and I won't ask anyone's opinion, and I'll just do whatever, Especially how she killed the orc in the first episode. Like, had no problem at all, just by herself, like killing this big ass monster with no casualties. She just kind of seems invincible right now, and I don't know. The stakes don't seem very high in that type of scenario, but
Off screen, man, she's rolling 20s, and there's no big deal. She's able to take down anybody.
That's another point, because Cody, I kind of feel the same thing, because especially watching this episode, I feel like I kept looking at Brian. I'm like, am I not supposed to know what's going on? I feel like I'm supposed to know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like you said, when she walks in, because there's the whole thing with the elves and the humans, and I have not read the books. I'm not gonna say that. My only thing is just watching the movies years ago. But I just felt like I feel like I should know something, and that's what I kept saying. It's like, should we know this? Should we know what's going on? Should I feel like I should have preconceived notion about? I should have history for this.
Yeah, and it feels like you should, but they really don't. They really don't give it to you like that. So yeah, it is a weird kind of feeling.
It's an expectation. Like when she says that, you should know who I am.
Should we? Why should we know who you are?
Good,
when she was in the Fellowship of the Ring, or whichever one she dropped in, they made the last two. So they made it such a point for her to be very omniscient, be like a larger power without saying anything about it.
Right.
And we're led to believe that she's essentially like a retired champion of everything. And all the things that she does, from the time that you see her being a little girl playing with that boat at the beginning of the show to where she ends up in in Return of the King, I mean, like she has lived for ages, and she has done thousands of years worth of like ass kicking badassery.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I can totally buy. Number one, we know that she survives. Number two, we know that she's a. I can't remember the way that they call the elves, but she is just on that tier. She's on the super tier, to a point to where she is just whooping ass throughout the stories of time in the whole entire Lord of the Rings lore.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's important to remember that she also feels like she knows everything about Numenor, the city that she goes to. She knows, number one, this city sits way west of the actual mainland of Middle Earth, and it's closer to where the Elven homeland is.
Mm-hmm.
They gifted that island to the mankind that were helping them in the fight, and all of that turned into them no longer wanting elves in their little area. That whole storyline, that plot, she shows up, she's pissed off, she doesn't understand why they're acting the way they are, but she knows all the stuff that transpired to actually get Numenor to that point. But no one really cares because it's an island of one. I mean, like, it stands by itself and no one else is a part of it.
Plus, this is hundreds of years later. The people that are around don't actually remember. They just hear stories of things.
Exactly. No, I mean, that's a key point. The captain that saves her is part of the lineage of Aragorn, however you say his name. That actually shows who's the main character of the King of Men.
I believe actually White Chocolate Espresso says that. I believe that's Isildur.
Well,
right?
Isildur's his son, but yeah,
Isildur's his son. Okay, so it's a descendant of Isildur. And Cody, this is a part that with you talking about it, I really do think that when I went into the show, I was hoping that it was going to be something that if you didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings, you could watch it and still enjoy it. And I think you can. But I think this is one that if you know the lore of Lord of the Rings and if you're into it, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. Because I see things like that, and I'm like, oh, that's the thing right there. So
right now they're doing the legwork for you to pick up on, and right now they're doing character introductions, and not all of these characters are from the stories. They're making their own characters as they go, just like any other show would do. But they're doing the legwork right now to get you to know the characters' names to a point that when they reach the end of the season, you're comfortable and you understand exactly where things are going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it just like anything else, it does help knowing a little bit more about it, but at the same time, like it shouldn't spoil the thing. You like Sarah said, you may be confused watching it. You may be confused because you feel like you should know all these things, but we watch so much stuff that we feel like we should know it all right off the bat, and we don't like being in a position to where things are like not known to us. So I'm on board with it. I think that,
and we should know it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Elros drop, being Elrond's brother, I thought that was like a major one, because I remember when Lord of the Rings was a thing and trying to figure out like who's this Elrond guy, what's he all about, and read about his brother, and like they mentioned at the Hall of Lore that he was basically the one who made that building.
Mm-hmm.
About how he helped make so much in Numenor.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things are kind of slowly piecing together, and then we come to find out the main little bit of that whole entire journey was that she figures out that the actual sign is a map.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's that, like I said, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I know there's probably people out there that are way more knowledgeable than me, but like it's the little bitty things I see. Like, okay, like the there's an allusion to the tree a ton of times, which that's setting up the power of men and the power of Rohan, the kingdom of Rohan, because that's their symbol, is that tree. It's on their chest, everything else. And then you see the sword, you see Isildur's, I guess, father. So you're going a few generations back.
Elendil,
yeah, and he's the main character guy. You see the sword he pulls out; it looks very, very much like the sword that what's his name wields at the end in Gondor. So you see the setups for Gondor, you see the setups for Rohan, you see all this stuff being set up. You see the rings being set up, how it's being predicted to give to different realms and different groups of people for different things. The only thing I don't see connecting right now is the Harfoots. And it may as it goes on, but it's one of these stories that, like, realistically, right now, until the Hobbits come into play with Lord of the Rings, I don't see how anything that has to do with the Harfoots is relevant at all, in my opinion.
Well,
You
they're
know,
pushing the story. I mean, they're
right? But it's a
gonna
question. But
they're
right,
gonna be
I haven't
just
seen
the
the whole
way to
story
do it.
yet, so I'm sure they're going to bring it all back around, and especially with this mystery character they brought in that fell from the stars. You know, which it was funny because last week my show got cut off about halfway through. I know I was listening to y'all review it, and they were like, "That's got to be Gandalf at the end, right?" And it ended up not being. But couldn't that guy who fell from the stars not talking? Couldn't that be young Gandalf? I mean, I know what's his name last week said that that's the wrong time period, that he didn't show up to the third
Yeah.
age. So, but could it be a descendant of? Do you think those are maybe wizards that came down from the stars?
I think
I
number
have no
one, it
idea
could
what's
be
going on.
anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
What was
like,
the guy in Lord of the Rings, the evil dude that gets into a fight with Gandalf?
That's the Balrog, right?
Could it be him?
Oh,
We're talking about
no, you're
Christopher
talking
Lee's
about
character.
Christopher Lee's character,
Oh,
Saruman.
Yeah, Sauron. Could it be him?
No,
well, I
could
mean,
be,
it could
but
be, but yeah, that's a good possibility. Yeah,
I think that it could be a brand new Wiz. I think, I mean, like, I don't
Yeah.
know enough about. I only know enough of the lineages from what I read about, like, Lord of the Rings stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
I don't know nearly enough about the time period for it to be
Yeah.
to know the story and, like, the plot.
yeah.
I
That's
know
kind
where
of
it's
the way I am.
leading.
Can
But
I tell y'all
I
what
don't.
a funny moment during the show? And again, maybe it's one of those things that if you know the lore, like you were saying earlier, Greg, like maybe it hits you better. But there's that part where the Harfoots are talking about all the people that they have to leave behind. Like whenever they just get up and fucking go, they're like, "Oh, and poor old Jojo was at the end of the train, and we had to leave him." And it just seems so cold and fucked up. Like, why did they? Why did they have to leave them?
Yeah.
Like, hey man, maybe don't leave them. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, I don't know if it just didn't come across to me why they have this policy where they got to like ditch the people that don't keep up to their clan while they're traveling. But I felt that was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
It was like, what? Like I didn't really understand it, and it was kind of funny, and it was like, alrighty then. I guess they're
Just keep
hardcore
rolling.
like that. Yeah, just fuck it, keep moving. All right, we ain't got time to waste. I just thought that was funny.
No, I agree with
I
you.
don't really have anything like positive or negative to say about it. That just really took me off guard that they were like, "Hey, we'll fucking leave your ass, bro."
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny.
No,
That was
I
the whole
agree with
point
you.
of sticking what's his name in the back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
The
because you know,
bar.
basically, if you're in the back, you're sold out. You're not going to make it, type deal. Yeah. Okay, so the character they have playing the elf in this one, who's stayed behind, I can't remember his name to save my life, but I really like this character. I like the elf who was in love with the mortal woman. Basically, he stayed behind. He didn't. Whenever they told him that,
Arendir,
I can't remember his name.
Arondir.
I like this
Arondir.
character.
Arondir.
I like this character a
Arondir.
lot. He's a good actor. He looks the part very well, and I like his storyline going through. He's basically the guy who's discovering he's going to be the reason if you end up winning in the end is why, because he like told you, hey, this is happening type deal. Him and Gandalf,
Well, he's
of course.
he's a
Gandalf.
different elf. Like they believe slightly different things. Like they're not as like, I don't know. He's not like top shelf elf, you know. He's a little bit more like grown into the land, I guess. Like, you know,
Well,
a lot
he's
more.
lived most of his life there, right?
Yeah, but there's
Because
like they
he
call
spent
him
like
something
80
different.
some years on like looking.
Well, he spent
looking
80
like-
years at that post, but the
Yeah.
fight's been going on for way before. That was after
Yeah.
the whole fight stopped. So he was through the whole fight too, I imagine.
But
So
there's
he's probably
different
spent the
like
majority of his
tiers of
life.
elves. He's a different one than what's her name?
Gladden. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, she's one of the higher ranking.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen because whenever she does make it back to Middle Earth or wherever the hell they're at, I mean, she was supposed to go on the boat and she didn't. So I just wonder what the reaction is going to be from, like, when she finally sees the king and all this kind of shit.
I don't know.
Well,
Well, you know
that's
she's
the-
gonna make it back. She's got to give Frodo that sword.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You
So
know,
I'm just
so, I
curious what
mean-
the reaction's going to be because it's
I mean-
like they were like put her on the boat ship to go to her little Valhalla or whatever, and she's like, "No, peace out.
That
I got
whole-
some other shit to do."
that whole thing right there from that scene, like it's so weird, you know, like that all the timing of the mystery person showing up and her not going and the whole boat going back, like it's all too like it has to be consequential. Like there has to be something there, and I'm not feeling it yet.
I hear you. And there could be. I'm sure there probably will be. I mean, we don't know our whole story yet. But can I ask though, what's up with people opening their eyes in salt water? Have you ever tried to do that? Because I'd never even tried to do that. Like it hurts to do it in chlorine. Like I'm not gonna do it in salt water. They just don't seem to care. They just open their eyes in any water.
Maybe it's a little less salty. I don't know.
A little less polluted. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But all in all, man, I'm loving this show. Like this is one of the ones that like I wish they would just drop the whole season because I would binge it in 10 hours. Because
It might be too much. It might be too much.
No,
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, I went through college with no cable, and Return of the King played on a loop for probably 6 months straight on my television. I can watch Lord of the Rings for that long. I don't care. I just want to see what's happening, and I want to see the end point. Like, are we having a second season? Because we're still even like if you advance this 60 years, like from where we're at right now, you're still like 150 years away from the battle that happens 500 years or however long before Lord of the Rings. So like you still got a long period of time. I want to see the battle. I want to see Ilyasad cut off, what's his name's finger and got the ring of power. I want to see that battle. Sauron. I want to see this show end in that. If it ends in that and it goes no further beyond that point, I'm totally fine with that. Because anything in that middle area there, make another show later. I'm cool with that. But I want this show to end at that point. I don't know if in one season they can do that because that's a lot of years to cover. And Elves
They're
don't age.
already doing a second season, and we do know that. And so I do expect that this is going to go the long run. This has the potential to stick with the Game of Thrones-esque universe. I mean, they can do it if they pace it right and they have enough well-made side plots. This can totally go the distance.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I don't know if it can. I mean, it will break the bank, but not my bank. Apparently, Daddy Bezos has money, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't think Bezos and his penis-shaped rocket ships are worried about money right now. So
yeah. The only other thing I was going to bring up was the Halbrand character, Halbrand, however you want to say his name, with him being discovered as far as his King of the Southland roots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was once again good side plots. Let's see where it goes. So.
Well, I knew there was something sketchy about that dude. Anyways, there was something there. It's like you could tell. It's like there's something more because, especially the scene, when the guys cornered him in the alley. I'm like, oh, this dude's about to go berserk on some guys, and he did. And I was like, yes.
But it's definitely the setup for Gondor, like the kingdom of men that has no king for the longest period of time. Like it's got to be the setup for Gondor, especially with him talking about not being king. I'm sure he's going to be the lineage that is the king that eventually leads you to gosh, there's so many names going on right now, I can't even remember. The Return of the King, the main guy, Viggo Mortensen. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Aragorn. Yeah, it's going to lead you to that. So, sorry it took me so long to get there, but
That's what I'm saying.
man.
He's the descendant. Isn't he not the descendant of Isildur? Or Isildur?
Yes, he's the descendant of Isildur.
That's right.
So he's that's why he's after Isildur dies, there's no king of Gondor, and that's why they had no king for the longest time.
Okay.
Yeah,
I make sure when you were talking about the other guy, I got a little confused.
But yeah, like I said, I'm loving this show. Can't wait every week to see this episode. Between this and House of the Dragon, it's got me on pins and needles every week to see what's happening. So Fridays and Saturdays or Sundays are my days. Is there anything else y'all wanted to bring up about this episode specifically, or?
I'm just glad they have like the breathtaking scenes because when you came across and you just, oh my God, just. I'm like, but that's what I love about that world. Just take me somewhere, just
I agree.
unbelievable. But this this little island just had like Greek. It felt Greek, especially like with the
a little bit, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like with the
Cliffs,
ships and being that, it's just that.
Yeah.
But I have no qualms with that. I have no problems at all.
Well, you know what gets me to Lord of the Rings that I think I love so much, and I think it's the orcs, man. Like they're very practical, very well done characters that are very believable as just bad guys, and it's fun to watch them just get fucking.
And they're like little vampires.
Whoever they're fighting, yeah. Like I think they nailed the villains. Like if you're gonna have minions that are like badass minions, orcs and Uruk-hai are the way to go. Like,
and then the one right that was trying to be cute. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
really.
I don't get the whole sun thing that happened in this episode because I've never recognized that with any kind of orcs. Maybe it's something they're going to explain later, where they're I guess sensitive to sun.
They've always fought under shade. I'm like, anywhere they've gone has been like, been like poisoned, like the sky by Sauron or.
I mean, Helm's Deep started in the day and ended at night. But I mean, I just never seen them be like sensitive to it. I guess they've never shown it. It could have always been a thing, but I've never seen it before, But yeah, I guess you're right. I'm trying to think about their battles. Every battle I can think of, minus from Return of the King, the Battle of Gondor, is at night. So yeah, that's a good point. Well, do y'all want to wrap up Rings of Power? Start talking about some hot D?
Do it.
Let's do it. I saw Cody.
I'm ready for hot D. I'm always ready.
Did you see Cody's smile on his face when I said hot D? He was like, "Yeah." Cody, get us started, man.
Hot D.
I think of all of us, you're the biggest fan. I know Ross is a huge. I kept want to say Lord of the Rings, but Game of Thrones.
I know
fan.
You fell off last week. I'm like, Cody and I are just gonna keep talking. Like,
and I didn't even have internet to watch y'all too. I was like, I want to at least watch the rest of the show, and I couldn't even go on the internet to do that. I was so irritated. But anyway. Cody, you're a huge 8 hot D fan. So that sounds so terrible. I need to get that out. Give me some thoughts this week, man, because I know that Sarah caught up this week, so I want to hear her thoughts too. But I'm loving this show, and I've got to go back and watch Game of Thrones.
I'm excited to hear what Sarah said too, because I pretty much shamed her into watching the show. She's like, fine, all right, I'll watch it. So I'm definitely interested to hear what Miss Sarah has to say about the show. So everybody, I'm assuming everybody saw episode 3. Yeah, it was incredible, man. They did a really good job, and I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot this about the original Game of Thrones. There's a lot of dialogue. This is a very character-driven story. It's very much about the plot. It's very much about the people and all of the interactions that goes on between them. And like I was telling Ross last week, like these first 5 episodes, maybe I really don't know how long they're gonna go, but it's basically like a prologue to the story being told. So all of these things that you're seeing now, they're going to be really relevant later on in terms of some of the events that happens, obviously. But I felt the episode was incredible. You see a lot of really good comparing and contrasting between Rhaenyra and Daemon, and that they're both in this episode in blood. Rhaenyra goes crazy on the boar, and she's letting out all this frustration because her father has this big hunt in the name of his newborn son, Aegon Targaryen, and it's apparent from the start of the episode. Rhaenyra is like, they're not here for me, like they're all here for the son. And as time goes on, it's really starting to dawn on Rhaenyra that she's a woman in a man's world, and the fact that all these lords have sworn their allegiance to her, but now there's a son, like already the wheels are turning. And if you remember from last episode, she had that conversation with I guess it's her great aunt Rhaenys, the older woman, and she's basically telling her, all these men are looking for an opportunity to replace you. Ask me how I know. I've been there before. It's literally what happened to her. So you have these moments where, she's trying to fight for her own independence and her own power as a ruler and as someone who has the right to rule because she was named the heir. And you see that play out later in the episode with the white stag. You know, Viserys, that they find this other deer that isn't the white stag that they're looking for at all. And then yet Rhaenyra sees it later. So it's like a sign to her that this transformation that she's going through, that she's meant to be on the path that she's on, and that she does have something of a destiny with, ruling. Because in that world, the white stag was like a symbol of power and wealth and being able to rule. And it was a very important part of that world before dragons showed up. So I thought that part was incredible. And I know I'm kind of long-winded here, but the very end of the episode, Daemon Targaryen doesn't say a fucking word. He doesn't say one word, and this man steals the episode. I mean, in every way, shape, or form, dude. Daemon Targaryen is such a badass, man. That's like my spirit animal, dude. That, man, my brother's gonna try and steal my fucking thunder. I'm done with this shit. If I have to go out on my shield, I'm willing to do it. And I'll be damned if he didn't do exactly that, man. And I don't know if it was like apparent in the show, but there was those caves that they were kind of burrowed in. So whenever they would rain down the dragon fire, they would retreat back to their caves. So the dragons were kind of ineffective. Well, Daemon, going on a suicide run, essentially, allowed them to come out in the open, and it gave them enough time for a brand new dragon, by the way, that we haven't seen before. Sea Smoke comes in and just burns everyone to the ground, dude.
And who was his rider?
Laenor Valerian. So you know the black guy, Corlys, and his wife? Well, his wife is a Targaryen. She was passed over for the throne. That was the one talking to Rhaenyra last episode. That's her son with Corlys Valerian. And by the way, in this same episode, when Viserys is sitting on his throne, or he's drunk and they're trying to find the deer for him, Harwin Strong comes up to him and he recommends that Rhaenyra marries him. That's the guy that he pitched for Rhaenyra to marry to bring the houses back closer together.
Right.
Because Valerius passed on his daughter.
Say again, sir?
Because was it King Valerius? Is it Valerius? Valerian?
Viserys.
He passed on the daughter.
On their daughter. Correct. Yeah.
So
now they're wanting to marry their son to his daughter.
Yes.
But I was going to say, let's not gloss over the fact that the old Hand Hightower decided that it would be a good opportunity for Rhaenyra to marry Aegon, a 2-year-old. That was put into the episode, and he's just sitting there looking at his son like, "Are you fucking mad?" Like,
even Viserys.
I know that we do dirty shit in this blonde-headed family, but he's 2.
Even Viserys is like, he's 2 years old. Like, come on, man. Another thing to point out, and if you blinked, you missed it. At the start of the episode, you see Otto talking to his brother, Hobart Hightower, and they're talking about the succession. And it's like Viserys is not at a point. He sees the importance of naming his son the heir to the throne. And then Hobart turns to him and says, then I guess it falls on you to make him understand. So you already see the machinations at play here. The people at Old Town, from everyone from the Maesters to the Hightowers, they are in it for a certain reason. And it's not a coincidence that his daughter is the one that he married off to the king to produce a son.
See, it's so funny hearing you talk about this, because I think like you talking about this is like me with Lord of the Rings. Like, I know what's gonna happen, and like I have a knowledge of what should occur. So like when I watch this, I'm like, okay, I know this is gonna happen. I know this is gonna happen. I want to see how they get there, and I know eventually we got to get to this point. I feel like you're that way with this universe, which is great. Like, because honestly, they're almost identical type universes that both tell amazing stories. You know, it's just which one you got into first, because I feel like if you like one, you'll love the other. You know,
I tell you what the biggest difference is the political machinations of this show.
that's a good point.
Whereas Lord of the Rings tells a fantastic story of good and evil, and it blends in the grays in between that. Game of Thrones, I mean, Game of Thrones literally is like it's a straight up politics show, and everyone is trying to play chess 3 dimensionally, and then next thing you know, someone else's plan screws up yours, and then you have to come up with a new plan, and that's a whole new season of how you're going to screw someone else over so that you can get someone in your family to go screw someone in that family to make golden babies somehow, and rule the kingdom one day. I mean, it's the parallels are so ridiculous to real life that it's almost scary sometimes.
Yeah.
But it is fantasy. So,
but even in that, Ross, like looking at this, you're right. It is fantasy, but we do know that was a lot of the ways things used to be ran. And it just shows you that when you look at this and you see similarities in politics today, it just shows you that history fucking repeats itself, man. Just because technology changes, history repeats itself, and it always will. Like just like there will always be plagues that come by and wipe out part of the population. It's happened a number of times. It will happen again, I promise. Probably not in my lifetime, but I promise you it'll happen again. There's always been corruption in the military. It's always happened. There are always people who are on top trying to stay on top. It's the way the world has always worked. So for anybody who thinks that anything going on right now is new and changing, it's not. It's the way the world's always worked since the beginning of time. Period. Just the way it is.
Could be new. We all could get along a little bit better, but
no, I agree with that. But that'll never happen either. Peace is the lie.
In this show, the stuff that they do though is, I mean, like taking Rhaenyra as a prime example. Everyone's saying that to get her off the board, she has to marry someone else, and so why not go marry a Lannister, which ironically still twins. The fact that he's Jason Lannister is all trying to get to make her his bride, and it's like here's this golden spear that I got for you to kill the stag with. So can I have your daughter now? Like I gave you a spear. Like I mean, I know other cultures do a whole lot worse than that.
Right.
But still,
Casterly Rock is so big, twice the size of the wall. Like he's so pompous, dude. He's such an ass. Classic Lannister, dude. Yeah, such a Lannister. I want to hear Sarah because I want to hear what. It seems like Sarah is already into the show. I want to hear your opinions. No more silence. What say you on House of the Dragon?
Well, like I said, like I've pretty much told you guys, like the political machinations, that's the first thing that popped out because, I mean, that's kind of what I expected. I mean, I'm not totally ignorant of Game of Thrones, but I think this is going to watching this is probably going to push me to want to watch. I don't know. It's just the king. All I can say is bless his heart. He's trying his best. He wants to do the right thing. But like I said, you have all these people in the background are like just pushing. And then, like
he loves his daughter.
Yeah, he does. I mean, and losing his wife that way, which that scene to me wasn't as crazy as everybody had like make it out. Look, fellas, I've been through that shit twice. Granted, I had, I was in an operating room and I had good drugs, so I've been through that shit. Yeah. I get that. I get it. So, but to the fact that he actually cared that much about his wife and it really hit him that hard. Normally in, whether this is fantasy, whether it's real life, whether it's whatever, a lot of royal families, they're like, okay, whatever. I mean, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to get what I want off of you. And, if you expire, then so be it. It's that kind of threw me too, because I was like, oh, the baby, oh my God, not the baby too. I was like, oh my God, that thing that got me more than anything. But then seeing, look, with Rhaenyra, I'm still working with the names.
The names are hard. Rhaenyra.
Yeah. I got the Targaryen part. I got that. But to see her story going through here, to me, I mean, I've seen 100 stories this way. You've got the girls coming through because it's even this day and age, even with the death of the queen. The only reason she became queen at 27 was because the next male heir, he what do you say? He advocated to marry a American divorcee. So if he hadn't done that, she would not have become queen. So in this little world, yes, Rhaenyra is fighting for what she's like, hey, I should be this. I mean, hell, she probably like, I should be, I'm a girl, but yet I should be a guy because I want to do all this thing. I want to be my own person. I want to be independent. Dude, that story is as old as time. And you still enjoy watching that to see what's going to happen because you got a bunch of men thinking that they know what's best. So there you go. But as far as was it Allison? Was that her name?
Yeah, Allison.
When her father put her where I was like, I see exactly where this is going. I see exactly where this is going.
She's the redhead the king married, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
so it was like, the queen died, and it's like, okay, well, and the thing that she was, best friends with Rhaenyra, and it's like, and her father, which he's shady as shit too. He's super shady. I don't know. It's like he comes.
You're talking about Allison's father?
Yes.
Is that the king's like right hand man guy? Is that
the hand?
Okay,
they call it.
Okay,
yeah. He's that type of person that just in life where you feel like they have your best interest at heart. No, they don't. No, because they're the ones that you're like, here, you want this back? So seeing that coming together, I was like, all right, I see where this is going. And then I'm just trying to think what else. I think the time jump from episode 2 to 3 kind of threw me off too.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
what did I miss? Because that was like, what, 2 years?
Yeah, we have like a 6-month time jump from 1 to 2. Then from 2 to 3, it's got to be a couple of years. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, it's true because they had literally just got married. Next thing you know, here's the kid. He's 2. I'm like, whoa. Okay.
And the hunt celebration was for Aegon's second name day, so his second birthday.
Right.
So yeah, it's been 2 years, and that's why I said earlier that they're gonna but yeah. So like these first episodes, like don't get used to the time jumps. Eventually, they're gonna go away, but at a certain point, they are gonna stop. And this whole buildup is a prologue, and things are they're really gonna set in motion within the next couple of episodes. But basically, season 1 is the build-up to the craziness that's going to happen in season 2. And this show is breaking all kinds of records for HBO. And it keeps on increasing every episode. It's already bigger than the first season of Game of Thrones ever was. So whatever money they spent on this season, oh, dude, the budget's going to be through the roof next season. And it's going to be incredible considering, like, kind of what happened. I wanted to touch on something J-Sub said in the chat. The story is very vague in the books because the Maesters that delivered Varys' baby and killed his first wife trying to deliver the baby, the book is written from the point of view of a Maester in the future. So he's literally writing a history book about the Targaryen kings. So all this stuff about Viserys, you never ever get any of that stuff. So in this episode, you see Viserys in front of the fire, and you hear him actually go, "Whoa, did I fuck up? Like, should I have named my son instead of my daughter? To like, did I make a mistake here?" And Allison's trying to talk him down. But in the book, you never get any kind of idea either or about how Viserys feels, because it's always Archmaester Gildan, the writer, going through the different sources that he has about different aspects of the story. And sometimes he'll flat out tell you, well, one source said this about what happened, but then another source comes and tells you this. So even if you're a book reader, you can come to the show and find out something completely new that you didn't know from the book. So it is a really cool thing that they've done it that way. So there's something for everyone. If you've never seen Game of Thrones, or if you've read every single book, there's something for everyone. And I feel like the numbers are showing that. 25 million views per episode. Like, it's a phenomenon, man.
All right. Well, I don't know if he meant 25 million views per episode or $25 million per episode. the cost.
Oh yeah, he might have meant that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but well, it is funny though that we talk about history repeating itself and like how this is just basically you read the books and you're getting a portion of the story because it's a book written by a person who is reading past experiences from stuff other people wrote. That's history, y'all.
Yeah.
That's history, y'all. Do you really think the story right now that we have of any point in history that you can think of, biblical, American, Europe, any point in history is the way it happened, or it's the way that the person who wrote the last book put it out there? That
like I said, the first history, it was oral. It wasn't written down.
Exactly.
And
So remember that when you hear stories, just remember that this story's been passed down.
You can't even agree on what happened 3 days ago.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What's that game? Was it Telephone? Where you start here and you just say something and then you always wonder what it actually ends up being like to the last person.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way it works. So just keep that in mind whenever you hear history lessons, that you're probably only getting a very small portion of what.
I do want to ask
you
this, and I think one of the fellows in the chat room mentioned this as well. Is my man's fingers?
Oh yes, yes. I did not notice that, but
I thought it was weird when he was drinking because your fingers aren't straight when you drink, and his glove never moved.
Well,
but then seeing it in the scene was,
and so that's what it was like because when you first see it, he cuts himself on the throne, and then then you notice it's like, okay, well, he has it wrapped up, and then when they take it out, it looks like I'm like, Holmes, you about to lose that. It's gone. That thing's gone. Right. And so then, of course, they're trying to old school medicine, with the leeches and maggots and all that kind of good stuff. And then when you finally see it, like I said, fast forward 2 years, I'm like, oh, they gone. So I'm like, okay, how much more is this going to eat up on this guy?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even notice the cut on the throne in the first episode. I did notice the hand of the maggots the second time in the second episode. I did not notice the fingers being gone the third, but I did hear somebody in this chat room talking about that, like that cut was a purposeful cut that was created by his brother. So it's like, well, okay, when you say it like that, now I'm going to pay more attention to it. There's got to be something underlying with that. So y'all know the history. I'm assuming this may be what kills him in the end. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what happens in the future, but
so can't help.
So look, that's another thing. Well, that would be a spoiler, and I caught myself. So like this, yeah. So let's just say like none of that is ever. None of that is ever really definitive in the book. So yes, I'm assuming that this would be it, but it's really kind of never said. When it comes to Viserys, I didn't even notice this until I rewatched it. When he sits down and he's talking to Rhaenyra, and you see his hand, he's missing 2 of his fingers. So originally it was just his pinky that got cut. But then he's missing 2 of them now, and they're really nice. Yes, and look, there was a really nice touch too when Viserys has to kill the stag at the end, and they have caught it and tied it up. While he's holding the spear, 2 gloves, his glove on his left hand, the pinky finger and the ring finger are sticking up because there's no fingers in that glove to be able to make a fist, to be able to squeeze them together. So it's even the little stuff like that, I feel is just like a really nice touch and attention to detail that they kind of foreshadowed. And I also just find it very foreshadowing that both Rhaenyra and Daemon in this episode covered in blood. With Rhaenyra, it's with the boar, and she walks up back to the feast and everyone's looking at her, and then Daemon ends the same episode in the blood of his enemies.
Well, then also, I mean, just and in that same token, for me, as far as the hunt, okay, you have your guys go out and you bring the stag, you tie it up, and you just stick a spear in it. I'm like, that's bullshit.
Right.
To me, that looks weak. That looks like but
it does, but to be fair. To be fair, in a time where your only weapons are bows and or swords and spears and arrows,
but still,
you utilize what you can to make the kill.
But still.
And you got to remember, at this point in time, these people can't go to the supermarket and grab their food.
That's not the
So,
point.
however
That's
you
not
can
the
kill
point.
the animal, you kill the. I get it. What you're
It's
saying
the
is them tying
symbolism.
up, make it look weak that the king did it like that.
Yeah,
what you're
because to
saying?
me that didn't show that.
It's not
To
a
me,
hunt.
that didn't show
I
strength.
get that. Yeah.
It's
Yes,
not
he
like where
had-
you actually at least brought it in, or at least chased it down, or you did something. You just walked up and you just speared it twice. You didn't get it the first time.
But let me ask you: is it King Charles now? Now that Queen Elizabeth passed, King Charles is the next one up in line. If they take him out on a hunt, are they not going to set it up so that way he gets a good kill?
Huh?
Yeah, like I mean, I get what the comparison you're trying to draw, but that doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like in hunts prior to this, despite age, I'm like, did you actually go out and at least try to do something, or did you expect your huntsman?
He
to
had no
bring it
problem
to
touching the stag shit. I mean, he put that stuff right in his hand, smelled it, and like
But that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm like, you can touch this crap, but you can't
maybe
go.
it's just symbolism.
hunt.
Like I said, maybe it's just that symbolism. It's just like like I said, losing the fingers. It's just everybody's coming at us. The choices.
Stubbs makes the point right there in the chat. I mean, the whole point is that he's made to make him look weak.
Yes.
And that's what all of this is about.
And you're both right.
That he's made it's made to make the king look weak, but it's also made to. I think it's a second point of we put people on pedestals, and we make things easier for people that we feel like are higher than us. Like you accomplish this goal, it's easier for you, and you're going to get the same credit as me when we intentionally made it easier for you.
Or it's just all show. It's just all show.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And you're both right too. It's like the fact that when you're the king, they're not even going to risk you getting injured, like the hunting part. And like they tied it up and they weren't going to risk that. And Viserys isn't a fighter or a hunter. He's none of those things. And he even says in the episode, it's like, he's like, I've had many family members who rode dragons, but very few of us have been dreamers. And there's this whole thing with Targaryen prophecy that they're really tying in, that there is prophecy, this song of ice and fire that the Targaryens are an integral part of, and the Targaryen must sit the Iron Throne. So this is something that's very important to Viserys. And he has had prophetic dreams many times throughout his life. And by the way, the Targaryens were saved by a female Targaryen who dreamed of the doom of Valyria before it happened. And that's the reason why they were able to exile before they were all, just in the doom of Valyria. So he feels a very strong sense of urgency and duty towards this prophetic dream that he's been having. Dragon dreams, like J-Sub says. But it's funny that the Iron Throne is what's killing him. It's or at least that's what it's infecting his blood, making him cut off parts of his body. And the whole point of the Iron Throne is Aegon the Conqueror melted down all the swords of his enemies, and he made it into a throne because the idea is no king should easily sit the Iron Throne, and you should never sit comfortable in a position of power. And there's this whole thing that the Iron Throne will spurn a bad ruler. So Maegor, you heard earlier in the season they compared Daemon Targaryen to Maegor the Cruel. Well, Maegor was killed by the Iron Throne. He was literally impaled by the throne itself. And he was a monster, a terrible person. So people are like, the throne itself can and will reject a ruler who isn't worthy to sit upon it. So that's something to kind of remember going forward as the story plays out, because that definitely plays a part.
Okay. You wanted the hardest part for me watching this show is I'm watching a Lord of the Rings show at the same time, and learning all these names and remembering all these names is so difficult.
And what's so crazy, both these shows are like prologues. I mean, they're like, and that's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah.
But I'm having a good time trying, to put it that way. I can definitely tell if I'm talking Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. But the names are very, very like it all kind of blends together.
I've got to talk about my man Damon.
Do it.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't even, because when I first see the guy, I'm just like, okay, well, you can tell he's got a bond with Rhaenyra. I'm like, because they kind of, and then you see the different ideologies, shall we say, between he and his brother. But this last episode, if there was ever a hold my beer moment or kiss my ass moment, I have not seen one since. Because that's what I'm saying, because he's brought this note, because obviously with the, was it the steps, what do they call that area?
The stepstones.
Yeah, the stepstones. So it's shit's going crazy over there, because you've got the other, you got the guy with the, like I said, names are just escaping me. I see faces but not names. So first of all, he wants to, it was the guy that married
Valerian.
Yeah. So you've got him. He's like, look, dude, he's like, I need some help down here. We got this crab guy. He's like just totally just going crazy, taking over everything. We need to take care of this. And so they're like, no, not a big deal right now. Not really too worried about it. Well, finally, they need to be worried about it. And so I guess when the king decides, he's like, okay, well, I finally will send Daemon. I'll send him some, help. When he opened up that missive and he beat that guy with it, he's just like, no. And not just saying no. That's when he does his little suicide mission. But I'm like, this dude is going to come. He's going to come out. He might get a little beat up, but for the most part, he's going to be unscathed. And, like I said, because, I thought it was a great analogy, as far as like with the crabs, because, like you said, they had these caves they were hiding in, because that's basically they scurry out, scurry back in. So when he flushed them all out, I was not expecting him. I knew he was going to do something, but I was not expecting him to walk back out of that cave with what he had in hand.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Carrying half the body.
And he just like walked straight, because once he got past, and I guess when the guy came with the dragon and took out everything else, and when he walked in, I said, oh, this is not going to be.
Look, he joins the list for me with Zod and Luthor and, all these great villains. Like, he's right with it. He's the reason why the Sith will always win and the Jedi will never. Like guys like that.
Has,
he's the reason why the Sith will always be in existence.
You cannot beat that.
That's interesting. Do you feel he's a villain, Greg?
I feel like in this setting right now, yes, he's a villain. Based on what, because the basic believing of what is right and wrong in this universe at the moment, he's against. Now, that doesn't mean he's a bad guy, but at this moment, I feel like he is a villainous character, where he not necessarily where he's going to do anything evil, but where he's not going to take any breaks to get what he wants. Like, he's getting what he wants no matter what it means to do it. And I feel like that's the character we're getting with him. I feel very
important right there.
What's that?
Because this episode started the same way that it ended. They wanted to kick Rhaenyra out of the council room because she stood up and said, well, you have dragon riders. Why not just send us to help, end this whole thing? And all the men were like, shut up and color, woman. Like, pour the drinks or just get out of here. Those are your two options. And then what happened at the end? A dragon rider came in, surprised the shit out of that crab-eating POS, and then just destroyed everything. Yes, don't get me wrong. I am not robbing Daemon of his moment, because the man had a moment. Somehow he only took 4 arrows out of all of them that were launched.
And he just snapped them off. I'm like, oh my God, this guy. His rage is what's keeping him alive.
I knew this was going to be his episode, and I actually thought that it was really weird that it took us to the very end to really show what he was going to do. Because, the episode was titled, like, second of his name. And so you're like, well, it's Daemon. Like, what's he going to do? And then, like, the whole episode, I'm like, they keep talking about Aegon. I don't know when, he's like, when Damon's going to show up, and then he fucking showed up at the end completely. So
he's such a badass, dude.
He's a badass. I think
I'll say this, especially going into this next episode, shit's about to get salacious, dude.
Nice.
This next episode, like this one's gonna be it's gonna be controversial. And I'm interested to see how it happens because, and I know Jay Stubbs in the chat, he's read the books, he knows what I'm talking about, but like what happens next episode has been a cause of a lot of controversy and like amongst the fandom because again, the book doesn't flat out tell you everything that happens. It's saying, oh, it's rumored that maybe this happened, but then another source says that this happened.
Leaves
So
it very vague.
yeah, but there's a certain event, and we're gonna find out what causes that event in this next episode, and I'm pumped. It's gonna be a crazy good episode. This next one.
This show is so good that I was trying to think about it the other day. I went to a friend's house to watch it with them that loved the show so much because the show is so good. So like I'm doing an adult viewing party with my friends. I can't think of the last thing that I watched that like I had to get up with somebody and watch like that since me and Ross were like 10 watching WCW. To be truly honest with you, I can't think of anything else that I was like, we've got to get up and watch this together. I mean, Ross, I know that you came to my house and we watched the first episode of not Mandalorian, but Boba Fett together.
Yeah.
But that was just happenstance. You were passing through, you know, like I can't think of another thing where like, and I'm pretty sure they're probably going to call me tomorrow and be like, hey, what are you doing Sunday night? You want to come over and watch this? Because it's that kind
That's
of
what
viewing
everyone
thing.
did. This whole entire
you want to
country
view it
did
with people, yeah, and talk about it, which like we're doing.
Well,
right now.
just to let you guys know, when I found out the third episode came out on Sunday, yeah, I say Sunday night. That's when I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I'm so happy. They made me so happy, Sarah. I'm so happy that you're into it now.
Well, hopefully I'll be happy, you know, not just to see that on Sunday. So hopefully there'll be another happiness on Sunday as well.
Oh yeah, hopefully this
At least
there will
13
be a
of them.
lot of happiness to go around on Sundays specifically.
Well, let's put it this way, Cody. If we're down on Sundays this year, which I think 13 of 17 Sundays this year, we're going to be feeling pretty good. But if we're down on any of those other Sundays, at least we have the post game show and then
Yes, we'll
this
have
to look
this.
forward to afterwards.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, there is positive news coming out of it.
Put your
Just a little bit of David
side on that Sunday
Targaryen
night
justice will like make you feel better.
and also, can I just to make you guys more excited about what's to come? They still haven't introduced some of the coolest characters in this show. There's another guy that I'll say it like this. Did it come across to anyone that Alicent was pregnant in this episode?
I did. Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that.
So she has a 2-year-old, but she's also with child. Well, let's just say that's going. I won't even say anything else. I won't even say.
Is child a popular character? Okay, we'll see.
I mean, well, you'll end up seeing, man. It's gonna be absolutely. It's gonna be fucking nuts.
Well, and so let me ask you, this, like in Lord of the Rings, we're still so far away from the story we know that no characters we see now are necessarily going to be in Game of Thrones, but you know of characters. You just don't know
the family.
How many
Family
generations?
houses.
Yeah, it's
Well,
been
like
the
in Lord of the
houses,
Rings, you know Glandriel, and you know
Yeah, not everybody lives as long as elves.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. You know the elves, but beyond that, you only know names of houses of people that will to become. So this shows the same way. It's so far set back that while you know of, you don't actually see a connection between the two, minus the knowledge of. Correct?
Yeah. So Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Scarlet Witch in the Marvel movies, she was rumored to be a part of season 2.
Season 2, and Henry Cavill.
And but yeah, see that's it. I don't know if either of those are true because I don't know who Henry Cavill would play. All of the main male
The Witcher,
characters,
of course.
Yeah, right.
In Game of Thrones, The Witcher. Why not?
Yeah, all of the what's his name, Gerald?
Yeah.
Bring him in. All of the main male characters have been cast, so I don't know who he would play. I will say that Elizabeth Olsen, if the rumor is true, which I can't say for sure that it is, she is rumored to be playing a character that does indeed appear in Game of Thrones. But if you saw how that character's story arc ended, it would make sense as to why.
Okay.
But other than that, and again, I don't even know if that's true. I don't. You're not going to see any one character from Game of Thrones at all.
Okay.
But not
That's what I
one.
You
thought.
probably hear references, I would think.
Right.
Because now,
Yeah.
because like I said, since I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of these names that we're hearing now are, I would assume, dropped.
Yeah, well, the like Ross said, the last names, like the family names and the
Yeah.
sigils, yeah, all of those definitely. But as far as any one individual character, no, not yet. And again, I don't even know if I buy the Elizabeth Olsen stuff. Like, I kind of believe it when I see it, because that character that she would be rumored to play isn't in the book at all whatsoever. Like, not mentioned or anything. So maybe it would be a show only type of thing that maybe the writers want to do to connect the two of them. But other than that, no.
Okay. Well, is there anything else y'all want to put out there about some Hot D, House of the Dragon? It's a fantastic show. I know we're all loving it so far. It's into episode 3, so we're going to 4 next week. And I know that generally 3 and 4 is when you really start to get some meat and potatoes in most seasons of shows. So
Oh my God,
we're really going to see some stuff
episode
hopefully
4.
pretty soon.
Yeah, number 4 is going to be pretty hardcore. It's going to be a
I
lot
think
going on.
the only other thing I had was the parallel of Rhaenyra basically being the one to hunt and kill, and her dad not being able to for the actual hunt.
Yeah.
And so it's showing like her strength over like, you know, her dad's lack thereof.
Can I just point this out too? Because this was in the viewing party that I had. This was something that was brought up. Yes, she killed that boar after it was stabbed in the head already.
Yeah.
Oh,
When it
no,
was on top
yeah.
of her and about to kill her.
Yeah.
So
But all I'm saying is when she
let's
rolled
give
back
credit
into
where it's due.
town,
We
what
pick
did
on the
she look
king
like?
for the stag thing. I'm just saying she killed that boar after it was basically already dead.
Perception. What
yeah.
did she look like when she rolled back into that little hunting
True.
party area?
True.
So she came back, like Cody said, covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, looking badass with her own kill in a party of 2, rather than the king sending out, you know, well, him
Men
not
to
even
hunt
having
stag.
anything to do with it because he
Right.
literally just shows up. But everything else is set up for him. So
That's true. That's
not
a good
only
point.
that, she got to see the white stag and basically said, just let that bitch go.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to kill it.
Which, hey, just so you know, I've seen one of those in my life, white deer, while I was out hunting, an albino deer. So didn't kill it because you can't do that.
Hey, what's the deal with her that night?
Oh, she's trying to get
there's
on that hot
definitely
D.
some there's definitely some brown chicken brown cow going on there.
Yeah, I mean it's that's another big time story going forward. I know some stuff about that too, dude. I feel so like cheesy because like I know so much shit that goes on, so I basically have to keep saying, "Oh, just wait until you see what happens with this and this." Dude, this show, I have a feeling that when this is said and done, this is going to be a much bigger and a better reviewed show than Game of Thrones. I really believe that. I really believe. Hey, but
It's got
I
history
did have,
too. So
yeah, I did have one last thing. I don't know if you can put this up, Greg, but you were talking about like appointment viewing, and this is someone took this. It was out in front of New York, and all of these apartments were watching Game of Thrones at the same time because look at the lights and all the windows. They're all doing. They're all doing.
That's crazy.
They're all doing the same thing at the same time, and dude, it's like this is it's a pop culture phenomenon, man. Like when the whole country is gathering around the TV at the same time to catch a show, it's appointment viewing, man. It's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, this is Sopranos. This is Breaking Bad. This is all those things that everybody watched when it came out.
Yeah,
so
it's
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch Breaking Bad till like 5 years after it came out, but I loved it.
Most
I did love it.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones changed it. Game of Thrones changed it.
Yeah.
It really was like there was something about that whole entire show, that even though it was based around books for the most part, it changed the way people were, because it was a show that still just dripped to you week to week, and the seasons in between, people talked about it nonstop, but people actually almost had that respect of not spoiling it and like talking about it quietly rather than spoiling the whole entire thing on the internet. Like it was in that sweet spot before. Actually, it probably led to like all of the massive review episodes that you see now on like either YouTube or people making write-ups about. It was that thing, and it was so big when it happened, which is why I'm surprised that like the two of you haven't watched it, because so many people have watched it.
I think I get what you're saying, but I think Game of Thrones wasn't that one that did the changing. I think that Walking Dead did that before Game of Thrones.
Oh God, everybody knew to watch that. Oh.
I think that Walking Dead was the first one that I can think of past like Sopranos that when it came out, everybody's ready to sit down and watch this episode and talk about it, And then I think Game of Thrones benefited from that, even though I think it's a fantastic I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but this universe benefited from that, and it's just kind of trickled down since then. But I think I know that Walking Dead was pretty damn popular for a lot of people. Like it was one of those things that I know everybody, and I didn't watch Walking Dead once again until about 5 years after it came out, and then me and my wife binged the whole thing. And I'm mad that I didn't watch it live when it came out. But I know that a lot of people, like every Sunday night or whenever it's coming out, we're like, "Oh, new Game of Thrones comes out tonight. We've got to plan this." Or not Game of Thrones, Walking Dead comes out tonight. We got to plan this. So, but it's the same hand, like there are very few shows that polarize the whole world like that, or at least America, I could say. And it's amazing to have something this great put out there that everybody who watches it. I think people would have a harder time watching this and saying they didn't like it than saying they liked it. Like it'd be hard to find somebody who didn't like this stuff.
I mean, I'm sure they exist,
Oh, yeah.
and I know that there are people that are like, I don't like that. Maybe they're just naysayers. But it's funny, Walking Dead season 1.
There's less than 5 months between those two shows.
Yeah, I was looking it up. So
Really?
It was 2000.
Okay.
It was 2010 that
Halloween 2010.
Yeah, Halloween,
okay.
and then
there you go.
and then what was the first season of Thrones? April
something. Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected. Then. I guess maybe I heard about Walking Dead before that. Then.
Well, no, but we did come a little more Game of Thrones. But it is funny though, because both of those shows, they really blew up around the same time, and those were appointment viewing, and I feel like that kind of those shows are back now, and it's an awesome time to be a fan of really good high fantasy stories, man. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know the reason why I didn't watch Game of Thrones because I didn't have HBO. The reason why I didn't watch Walking Dead was because when it first came out, that was like when I was like, oh, well, it's popular. I'm not going to watch it. I want to watch Falling Skies instead, which, by the way, Falling Skies is a great show, too. Terrible last season, but a great show beyond that. But didn't nearly have the traction that Walking Dead did. So I picked the wrong. I picked a Zoom. I should have picked an iPod. To put it that way.
The shows,
I did that. Just so you know.
The shows made me become a book reader. So I had read seasons, or no, I watched seasons 1 and 2 on demand. Like back to back, I binged them, and season 2 had just ended. So I caught up with season 1 and 2, and I spent like a year pretty much binging all of the books before season 3 came out. So yeah, and they're big books too. Like that was like a portion of my life that I dedicated to reading these freaking massive stories, dude. But
back when you had to walk around with books.
Right. Yeah, dude, books.
The books have to be big though, man. To create a universe this big and this intricate, like it has to be, Like, and I would be kind of upset otherwise. That's kind of why I love this Lord of the Rings series. I mean, I'm getting a 10-hour movie, which I know that if you watch the first 2 extended cuts, you're basically getting that too. But like, I'm getting a 10-hour movie basically on a universe that I love. So it's phenomenal, and it's likewise with this House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. Like I would
She-Hulk. That's the same thing for me. Like
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
But It's
I
nothing
mean,
fantastic. It's not nearly as well done as like all the rest of this stuff. All I'm saying is that's why I like it.
I hear you, and you know, it's you're
To each their
entitled
own. You can say
to
it.
liking that, and
There
there's
you
nothing
It's
wrong with
go.
it.
like
But my thing is,
it's
I
like
don't hate She-Hulk. I just don't think it's necessary.
I'm not trying to
anymore.
reopen it. All
Yeah.
I'm saying. You're making a comparison. I'm trying
No, I get
to
that.
also
I kind of
follow with
feel
the
like
comparison.
She-Hulk are like pizza rolls. Like it's not a gourmet meal, but you pop that shit in the oven, you get a good fucking meal, man. It's some pizza
You're gonna
rolls,
eat
you
it.
know. It's like
Yeah.
It
yeah,
may
it's
burn your mouth.
yeah,
like I
it may
said,
burn your mouth, but hey, man, you enjoy it in the process, you know.
it's MCU. You're gonna take it in, and you know, all in all, when you get done with it, you're not gonna be disappointed. You may not be insanely happy, but you're not gonna be disappointed, and you're gonna like what you see. So, like I said, I don't want to talk too much shit about She-Hulk because I don't hate the show.
I wasn't trying
I
to bring it
just
back up.
don't
Damn it,
need
Ross, be
any.
quiet.
My bad. My bad. My bad.
Freaking Ross, man.
Damn it!
I know. I'm the worst. Hold on.
I know. Shit, we're sitting here talking about Hot D. Damn it. Well, speaking of, is there anything else you guys want to bring up about this episode?
No, I think that's it, man. I appreciate y'all letting me come on and nerd about the hot D with y'all, you know.
Dude,
I'm just
I,
glad I
uh,
can finally talk to y'all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
no, I'm,
'cause I
hey,
feel bad when we
I'm-
talk about it and you sit there.
but see, I'm glad that this happened now because now you're a part of the convo.
There you go.
Now
much
it's
needed
Arcane, and
part of
now
the
it's
combo.
House of D. Or
I mean, to be honest, like the story is about powerful women. Like we kind of need a woman's voice on this show, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
love
so
it.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
There.
yeah, for sure.
Well, Cody, do you want to stick around for Lower Decks Cobra Kai? Have you seen either one? Want to talk about them?
No, I have not seen either, and I am going to probably watch some Cobra Kai tonight. But
That's good.
Oh, we're gonna
No,
have a big discussion.
Are you
on this
into Cobra
Friday,
Kai?
I promise you that.
oh yeah, I've
Yes.
seen all. Yeah, I just need to watch the newest. Have y'all watched every episode?
No, I only watched the
y'all all
first
way?
two. Yeah, I only watched the first two. I think they dropped all 10 episodes today, but I only watched the first two. This is one of the shows that, like me, it's a married show for me. Like I told my wife, like when I started to turn on Cobra Kai earlier, she couldn't sit down and watch it, but she loves the show. But I was like, well, I've got to watch at least an episode or two to talk about tonight.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like I'm cheating on her a little bit, like show cheating on her. But like I was like, I'll watch 2 episodes, then I'm not gonna watch any more. I'll go back and rewatch those 2 episodes with her, and then because she loves the show.
Well, I sat my other half down. I'm like, we about to watch this. Either you gonna
Right,
watch it
yeah.
with me or not?
Yeah.
I'm about to watch this.
Yeah, it's down. It's about to happen.
It's
Yes,
a great show.
exactly.
It's a very endearing show.
It is.
I might be able to talk with y'all maybe next Friday about it, but
Okay.
yeah, I've been live since 7. So
Yeah, you've been doing it for a while. Well, okay, well, I'll tell you what, man, you're always welcome to come back talk House of D next week. Some Lord of the Rings, and then of course, if you watch some Cobra Kai, you're into that as well. But where can they find you at otherwise, buddy?
Yeah, right there on screen. Cody Lack, CODYLAC. C3 Podcast, man. Every Tuesday at 9, Wednesday or Friday at 7. Me and Greg and the boys, we've been busting ass, man, trying to build it up. So keep pounding. Go Panthers.
The most important part, this 4:30 this Sunday. The first
Post-game
pre-game show of 2022.
Post-game show, baby. Let's go.
That's right. We are there for post games every week this year. So if you're a Panthers fan, come check us out because we're going to be talking about some crazy stuff as soon as it happens. So. Cody, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure having you on, and I'll see you in a couple days. I'll probably talk to you tonight, but we'll see. All right, buddy.
Greg, Ross, Sarah, y'all have a wonderful night.
Bye.
You too, man. Good talking.
All right.
Damn it,
2
y'all
left.
got me watching this shit now. Are you happy? You happy?
Yeah. Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Is the question. Are you happy? Yes.
Like I told y'all, it's like some. It's like,
all right, let's knock out some Lower Decks, and then we don't have a ton of Cobra Kai watched between the bunch of us because it just came out today, and we're all busy people. But we'll talk a little bit about that. Let's do some Lower Decks though. We're what to see episode 3 of this series now of season 3. Okay, loved it. Loved it. There were literally moments where I'm watching it laughing out loud, and my wife looks at me because I had to watch it on my phone because she was watching something on television. So I have my earbuds in, and I'm just laughing out loud. And she's like, "What are you laughing at?" And she sees that I'm watching a cartoon. She's like, "You're such a child." And I was like, "Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Don't you love it?" I was like, "I'll never
But I'm
grow
your
up.
child.
Never grow up." That's right. I'm your child forever. That's right. So forever. But I'm really enjoying this show. This is a great little 20-minute, 25-minute comic relief. Show. I don't get all the references with Star Trek, and I'm sure that especially in this episode, I think there was one that like with a character that we'll talk about that I'm like, that has to be a main character they're bringing in here for this,
Oh,
but we'll talk about it. But the show altogether is just a really, really fun show. I mean, Jack Quaid playing Boimler is just phenomenal. I can see him talking while he's doing the part, or while I hear the voice coming out. I'm like, that's so great. Love the characters. I don't think you have to watch, like, if you started watching season 3 right now, I think you'd be okay. I don't think you'd have to go back and watch seasons 1 and 2. It may help, but it's not a continual story driven show. It's very, very serial. Like, you get this episode this week, and these are the characters, and this is what this is about. And then next week there may be a reference to it, but it's not going to be much, and you don't need to know. So, Sarah, you're my Star Trek girl. I know you love this show. I'm watching the show because of you. And thank you very much.
I gotta ask you one thing, and maybe it just I'm kind of gonna skip to the very end to like one little thing. When they mentioned something about a floating cube, is it just me, or did I have like flashbacks to Umbrella Academy?
Oh, totally. First thing I
Little
thought
bit.
of Christopher.
That's the first thing that popped in my
Yeah, I
head.
can't think
was
of
like,
anything
okay.
else.
I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one.
Which, by the way, and I love Umbrella Academy. They never explain Christopher, which kind of bothers me.
No,
They never explain it. You just got to take it and accept it.
Oh, maybe it'll get explained.
Somehow he was born from a person.
I
Don't know.
don't know. No.
Okay,
Right,
so
that was like the first thing I just had to ask you guys.
you're good. So this episode, I want to say, it shows like them with another team, and they're trying to show off or at least be better than the other team. And you find out later on the whole story behind this. But I love how they're having these, what are they, fantasy balls, what they called them?
Were they mind? They were like minds something. They were called mind orbs. I don't know, something like that.
I don't know, something like that,
when they broke it, or when they got near it, it would like feed off of their fantasies. So it's kind of have like Medusa vibes, because it's like when you see it the first time, as soon as it touches me, it turns into stone. I'm like, okay. That was kind of crazy.
What did y'all think of the fantasies though? Like, wasn't that the absolute best part of this show?
They were pretty good.
Like what you see everybody's fantasy is, and you're like,
you want to
wow, okay. It's like
with me?
You're not even driving the car, or you're not even driving the bike in your own fantasy. Really? You have a sidecar? It's like, okay, come on. Loved it. It's a perfect little bit of comic relief. Although they did go a little further than I thought they were going to with what's her name? Who's the main character, the female character's name?
Beckett.
Beckett, yeah, with her fantasy. Like, I was like, well, okay. So we're going there. All right, cool. I'm okay with that, but it's definitely just something I didn't see. Like, I could almost tell you exactly what Boimler's fantasy was going to be, and who's the tech guy?
Rutherford.
I could tell you almost exactly what his was going to be too. And that was my question I was going to ask. Rutherford's fantasy, is that a famous Star Trek person?
Now, Ross, if that's the same person, I'm thinking that's the one that Geordi off of Next Generation. Remember, it was.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, because he actually had a holodeck program that ran, because he was trying to work out something, because she was can't remember her name, but she was like some well-renowned. I don't know, was it with the Warp Core or something along those lines?
She's one of the ones who discovered something that made them be able to do it.
Because Rutherford's very, very. It's almost like he's a combination of Geordi and Data. That's what I kind of more get that, because like the engineering aspect, and plus the fact that he does have the cyborg, so it's kind of that, and Geordi was kind of like that too. He was like his almost his fantasy was working with this scientist, and finally when he met her, he's just like I don't even know what to do with myself. So yes, that's where that's that little Easter egg.
So I did pick one Easter egg out. I didn't know what it meant, but I saw that and I was
You
like,
don't miss
I
nothing.
bet you that character means something. I was like, I bet you she does. But yeah, you get to see all the fantasies. It was pretty cool. And then I guess you discover that as the orbs or balls are broken, that the fantasies change to nightmares.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Which this also reminded me a lot. There was a original series episode where they had gone down, and it seems like it was Spock or whatever, and there was like these flowers, and you like touch these flowers, and it kind of did the same thing.
Okay.
But it was more like a psychedelic type whatever. It's like it kind of like if you ever see that, if it's the episode I'm thinking about, it's like where Spock starts like playing some kind of instrument or some shit and kind of like becomes another person or you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about now.
I'm like,
Yeah, the
Picard's
one where they
flute.
like the flowers like pop their little pollen or whatever, and then they just kind of like did weird shit. So that's what that was kind of reminiscent of, I thought.
Singing "I Am the Walrus."
Yeah, exactly. It was, but it was the '60s too, so you can't remember that.
Yep.
See, all I can think about is Picard's flute from Family Guy. You know, like when I hear that, I hear about the Star Trek guy playing instruments. Got to be Picard's flute. So, all right. So in this episode, like they meet this other crew, and the other crew at first is like very standoffish towards them. It almost seems like they're the ones who are the best, and we've heard about all the shenanigans on the Sorrentos and everything else, and blah blah. Then you come to find out at the end that they're actually legends, I guess you could say, within the realm.
Yeah.
And we're actually jealous of them, or not jealous of them, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Like in awe of them, because they always
that's a great
did
way to
like
put
all
it.
this.
Yes.
You know, they didn't really go by the book. They always had like these fantastic, you know, missions and did all kinds of crazy shit because they're like, oh, you talking about, and all the shit they lined up. I'm like, whoa, how much other shit have y'all been in? Because first they talk about the Packlets, then they talk about this, and then they're like, oh, you mean blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, what else have y'all been in the middle of?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 episodes they stole the Cerritos. So, I mean, you know, they're constantly doing something.
Well, and plus, like this, because they basically had the same class ship. It was almost like the same class crew. And it was hilarious with their younger captain arguing with, you know, an older captain.
The whole thing was miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, the plot point was perfect, but I mean, after a while, I would have just put that rock through that kid's head.
Oh, I know, absolutely. It's like
At some point in time, realistically, somebody would be like, "Okay, give me the fucking rock." You know, just give me the damn rock. Let's end this. So,
but it was pretty interesting how everything turned out too. It's like the deception that they finally kind of unreal, because Tandy, bless her little heart, she's like so sweet, but she's like, Arr! And then was the Dr. Tana. I love her. I'm gonna cosplay as her. I just like, you know, like the 1-2 stick.
Actually, that would be a good one.
That would be, yeah. Did y'all pick up on the on like the end where she's talking about her, you know, having a great mentor, and then like at the last second she looks over behind the one she's actually the scientist she actually learned from, and looks at that lady,
Dr. Tana.
Yeah.
That's what was so great about it, because she's like, just do your thing. I mean, just whatever. Because the bird dude, I'm like, dude, you got to go on somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny too when she's talking to her about that, and she has that kind of epiphany, you know, and she lets her know the guy's on the table, and she's talking about all the stuff that's gonna happen to the guy, but he loses his foot and this and that, and the guy's like, "What? Huh? Huh?
What? You're good. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just grow you new one. You'll be fine."
That's exactly how I'd be if I was on that table. Like, whoa, what are you talking about? What the hell? So,
give this man a shot.
Yeah. Really, really fun show. Like I said, quick 20, 25-minute episodes. It's about as long as She-Hulk. So it's not
remember one thing.
Too difficult to get through.
Just remember one thing. Boimler is people.
Yes.
Oh,
remember that. That's right.
That's the second time, because first you had Bold Boimler? And now Boimler is people. I'm like, you know what? I'm just like writing these things down, because at some point
Boimler is
like,
people.
That's what's so great. That's what's so. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Like when they're talking about, you know, having them in live action, I'm like, please, oh my God, I cannot wait.
Now, I hope that if they do that, where they put them in live action, that they use the voice actors to play the actual roles.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what they've been saying.
Right?
That's what they've been saying.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Okay, I say you've got to. Otherwise, it kind of takes away from it. Like, I mean, it wouldn't take away from it from anybody else who didn't know, but like, I guess I can consider myself a deeper Star Trek fan than most now, it would take away from me. I would notice that, and I'd be like, I don't like that. But seriously, if you haven't checked out Lower Deck, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's like with Jack Quaid, he's just like really. I mean, now when I see his animated character, I see him.
Yeah, I can see him playing that role live action.
100%.
Yeah. So, well, if you haven't checked out this show, it's a really, really fun one. Like I said, serial episodes comes out every Thursday?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, every Thursday, serial episodes, Paramount Plus. It's a nice little Star Trek cartoon. It's got some great comedy to it, but it still has story that goes along with it that you can follow. So I'm really, really enjoying this. Ross, I've been here twice.
What?
Oh,
Let me remove
it's working
this,
when
Ross.
it's not.
Let me remove that, Ross. There we go.
No, I love it because it's like I've had a crappy day. It's like just watch it. It's just funny. It's just I mean, it's not serious at all. Like I said, you do have like little Easter eggs in there. Whether you pick up on what it actually is or not, they do have enough to where you're like, okay, is this important? Because I believe I'll have to go back and look, but I think that was the actress's voice from the original character. I'll have to go back and look.
Okay.
But they have been bringing in some like actual characters, just like last week when they brought in the Klingon. That was actually him. That was the voice of the actual actor of the original character.
Well, all I want to know with this show is how well it's going to connect to the actual universe. Because if they do the live action, then obviously it's mainly connected, and stories that happen in this Lower Deck show could be something that affects the actual show, or not the actual show, but Star Trek shows later, and our movies. So,
well, it could be, if you think about it, because we've always been here with our stories.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're coming down here. Mm-hmm. So maybe eventually they'll kind of rise up to. And I think that's probably what.
It would definitely be cool to see.
Same with the story. If they do a live action, I want to see them just do like the stupidest crap that they do on the show.
Right. I don't want their characters to change. I want them to be.
I want the Cerritos come rolling up.
Mm-hmm.
just like rolling up and just come to like a little stop, and then it's like, oh, yo, y'all need some help? You need us to do such and such, some kind of repair.
Beckett and her mom come out fighting. I want to see what's his name's glistening abs. I want to see, I want to see it all. Bring it all. Make it all live action. Why not?
Absolutely.
I agree. Well, anything else you want to say about this week's Lower Decks?
Nope.
I think that's about it.
Let me scratch that one off, and I've only got one more here. Let's talk about some Cobra Kai. I know y'all are serious Cobra Kai fans. I like the show. I don't think I love the show as much as y'all do. I know my wife loves the show. She doesn't watch this show, the GCS podcast. So I may just act like I haven't even seen the first 2 episodes and just rewatch them with her because she'll never know otherwise. And I have no fear of saying that because
a little red bar going across it.
I watched it on my profile earlier. I'll watch it on her profile next time, so it's not even viewed on her profile. I got this, man. I've been married 14 years. I got this. I know how to do it. Yeah. But anyway, I did enjoy the first 2 episodes.
I've only seen the first one.
This is a show that, once again, I'm not like completely enthralled with, but it's a really good show. And I can't believe that they were able to make a show that now has gone on for 5 full seasons about the Karate Kid. And not even the Karate Kid. I mean, Ralph Macchio is a big part of this, but like the main story is not about him. So it's interesting that they were able to take that old property and make this new show about it, make it fresh, and make it interesting. And going into season 5, it looks like we're going to have a pretty good plot line going on here. So I don't know how many episodes y'all watched. I watched 2. Y'all both watched 1. Okay, so I'll try not to go past 1 then when I say stuff. So just overall thoughts. Ross, I know you love this show. Are you still impressed with season 5 so far?
I mean, the little bit that I've seen pushes the story to a point to where I'm only.
How far did you get into it?
I mean, I saw Asian ass.
It's like
I mean, that was like right off the top.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got like 2/3 of the way through it. I actually had to turn it off because I was in a rush to to update website stuff, and I didn't realize like how far I was behind. I'm like, oh man, I can throw in an episode of this real fast. I started it, I put it on, and then I was like, oh wait. And then I saw ass, and then I'm like, wait, they're in Mexico. And, like, homeboy's getting his bag taken away, and I'm like, this is maybe now is not the time for this.
Right.
And so
Focus
with so
more,
much of it
yeah.
going on, like I see where the plot line can go for this season. I'm not too invested is the wrong word. I'm not too.
Does it have a different feel to it?
It feels like it because I mean it changed everything, right? And so once again, now they're starting over in a completely different way. I got with him talking about having to shut down the dojo and all of the miscellaneous things that come with that. You know, now that we have his wife's pissed off, he has to shut down his dojo. He's got, you know, his assassin friend who showed up to try to help fix that whole thing, but I didn't even make it to the end, so I don't even know if there was like a little twist at the end or anything. I knew that this season was going to be different just from the trailer. It felt like they were, you know, the way that they were trying to. It's tough to have a bad, like a big bad, right? Because the show is very much on the surface. It's very much kids fighting each other, and then going and doing it at whatever they call that, the tournament. And so, like last season's peak was the tournament. That was the tournament for the second time of this show. At least that we saw for like the finale. Now, this season's going to be in a different direction because it's not exactly going to encompass the same types of things. The tournament may be the big scene, but this is going to be like a drama-filled season. And if they have however many seasons they go to, this season's going to be a building episode or building season for the next one. Right. So
I just hope they don't Arrow it. You know, Arrow was really good the first 4 seasons. 5's when it started to kind of drop off because if they did the exact same thing, they started to change up the story a little bit, try to expand out. If there's one thing I can notice from just the first 2 episodes of this compared to the last few seasons, is the last few seasons, like you said, Ross, was very centralized around their community and the tournament and this, you know, their lives there. This season seems like it's expanding out, like the rest of the world, not just what we have centralized here, just from what I've seen through the first 2 episodes. So that may be the difference they're taking, and it could be good. But I know that like I said, I love the show Arrow. The first 4 seasons are great. Then it started to fall off a little bit. Then towards the end, it came back and was really good again. I don't know if this show will be able to maintain like my attention of being really good throughout the whole time. I'm going to watch it because my wife loves it. But I don't know if it'll be. I hope it doesn't suffer that same thing. I hope that if they start to go down this path like Arrow did in season 5, where it's like it's not that good, they don't just continue to shoot the same shot. They decide to maybe go a different path or adjust fire. But I don't know what's going to happen with it. I haven't been disappointed yet with this show, as far as like there's nothing I've watched where I've been really upset with, you know, when I've got done watching it. But through 2 episodes, I'm still waiting to see what's going to blow me away. And I do have some questions through the first 2 episodes. I'm like, well, why is he doing that? That seems really, really dumb. But it could just be a plot point. I'm not sure. So, and like I said, I can't remember if the first episode or second was the first episode. Did it have to do with anything with old boy looking for his dad? I can't remember his name. I have so many shows I watch. Names. Okay,
yeah, Miguel's looking for his dad.
Miguel's looking for his dad. Okay, so I can comment on this then. One thing that bothered me is if you go down to Mexico and you're looking for somebody, and his name is Hector Sanchez or what? I can't remember his name is. Salazar. Either way, very, 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 still a very common name. It's like coming to America and looking for John Smith. When you hear John and you turn and you assume that's the guy you're looking for, it's probably not. Okay? That's all I can say about this show is like if you're looking for a guy named Hector and every time you hear the word Hector, you look and like, oh, that must be him. Nah, dude, that's a pretty damn common first name. It's kind of like Christopher in America or you know, Adam in America. Like there's going to be a lot of people with that name. Yeah. Or no, Greg's actually, I will say I'm so irritated because like Greg always had like the character's name Greg's in every movie is always like the worst character in the world. It irritates the shit out of me. I'm like, damn it, why does that guy have to be named Greg? Like, I hate this character. Why does he have to be named Greg? But yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
I'm Greg 1G though. That's the good ones. The ones with 2Gs, no good. So.
Mm-hmm.
But so far with this show, that's what I've seen. Is it looks like they're expanding the universe out, which could be a good thing. You know, because maybe they need to expand out of this city. So we'll see what happens. But y'all are
I don't know, man. You
in.
gotta Power Range it, man. You gotta stay in. Was it Angel Grove? You know, keep telling the same thing.
The only thing I had
every
an issue
villain
with,
attacks Angel Grove. What the hell?
I know. Small world after all, bro.
Yeah.
the only thing I had an issue with right off the bat was I can't deal with the damn teen drama.
I know.
Let's not start that shit. Let's not start that shit, please.
I will say there's a little bit of it that carries in episode 2.
It's like,
there's some
you're gonna make it about you
in episode 2. So.
Oh, really? Oh my God, dude, come on now.
I'm hoping they don't do it the whole season. That's why I was saying it's. I hope they don't arrow it in season 5.
But Johnny come out strong, so I'm like, I'm good. I want that bobblehead.
The one he bought in Mexico.
I want that bobblehead. That little chihuahua with the sombrero.
Yeah.
I want that.
I love that too. He's like, it's not racist. I bought it here. They made it. I love that. It's like, there you go. So
I want that.
But yeah, I'm loving this show. I mean, it just dropped today, right?
Yes.
So we were just barely able to get anything in. We're probably gonna, I imagine we're gonna cover the majority of it probably next week, and then if we don't finish it, it'll be a 2-week thing. But
I'll have it finished by Sunday. Mark my words.
If Ashley's off tomorrow morning and it's the first thing I turn on when we wake up, because the kids go to school, have to get up at like 5:30 to go to school. So tomorrow's both our day off in the morning. We'll probably still wake up at 6 o'clock. If it's the first thing I turn on, there's a good chance that I'll have it all watched by tomorrow at like.
You better sneak some Rebels in there somewhere.
Well, when she leaves, then I can sneak cartoons in. She picks on me when I watch cartoons. So, but I told her, I was like, cartoons are just, they're just stories the same way. So
make her watch Arcane, man. Change it up.
You know what? It's so funny. Both my daughters loved Arcane. I loved Arcane. I've talked about Arcane, and I've told my wife about Arcane. My wife just can't get past the animation thing. I don't know why. She just can't get past the animation thing. And to each his own. It's her own thing. But I told her, I was like, you really should, because like even though some animated stories are silly, like Lower Decks, there's some that are really, really good, like really good dramas with great
Emmy
stories, like
award winning.
Yes, and like, but it's one of those things. Like she argues with me about soap operas the same way. I'm never going to believe a soap opera is good.
Dude, stories ain't what they
never
used
gonna
to
believe
be. They're not what they used to be. They're not what they used to be. Man, I was invested in stories back in the day. Now I'm like, no.
The stories were the same. They were the same.
But it's a different way they're doing. I don't know. It's just different. They hit different these days.
I mean, it's different people coming back from the dead. And you're right. Somehow miraculously. And long pauses on their faces.
Stories change up your people. Oh my
really
God.
long pauses on their faces at the end of every scene.
Imagine that writing room. All right, here's what we're going to do. Handmaid's Tale is working for people. I want slow pauses. Walking Dead, that's working for people. Bring them back from the dead. Make all these things into the show. I don't care. We don't have to copyright anything. Just bring it all to the screen.
And the thing about it is, talking about cartoons, finally found an intro of a cartoon that I watched back in the way back day. And I watched the intro of it. And I'm like, I really dug the hell out of this. Did you guys ever watch Mask?
No.
That's when they had the vehicles that turned into other, like you had a motorcycle turned into like a helicopter, and then you had all this, and then because it was like this table, and everybody had like these helmets that would come down. Dude, this is like from GoBot days and all that shit. This is like late 80s and shit.
It sounds vaguely familiar, but
I'll have to find that intro to send it to you guys, because I remember I never had the toys, and Brian, he and his brother had all the toys. I'm like, where are they at? Because you can't find that shit now. This was like the same day. It's like, and then like they had this other cartoon called Cops that came on with it. It was Cops and then Mask. I remember every afternoon I come home from school. That's what I watch. That's how old I am. But that's what I'm saying, talking about animation, because I love this. Because it was animation, kind of like, the Transformers movie.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that, you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Now you go back and look at it, you're like, oh my God, these are like, okay, I've just seen like the 5 same like scenes just cut differently.
Oh yeah. I rewatched that movie recently for a review with Joe a few months ago. And that movie is like balls to the wall from beginning to end. Like from the opening scene all the way to the end, it's just full on battles the whole time. And I was like,
swear
wow,
they
I
had
don't
like
remember
maybe
being
like
like
10
this.
versions of like 10 scenes of Megatron, and they just kept like splicing it in. That's the same. Like,
yeah, it was poor editing. Yeah.
But that was the 80s, dude. I mean, it was the.
I agree. Well, we walked a little away from Cobra Kai. Was there anything else about episode 1? Like I said, it's kind of, I don't want to spoil anything about 2, but I think that after we all get a little more viewing on it, we'll give a better.
Well, I just wanted to watch the first episode just to kind of get the feel of it, because the previous seasons, I mean, it was like boom, boom, boom. So this one, like you said, I just had a different feel off of it. So I'm kind of, and like you said, they're kind of exploring, they're getting out of the valley, but yet staying in the valley. So, you're trying to get a storyline that's out of it because it started, the end of last season. So that's going to be, I'm really interested to see how this goes, because number one, the impression I got was not the impression we were given by his mom.
Right.
So I'm kind of questioning that. So I'm just really curious about that. And plus, it looks like he knew
Miguel?
everybody.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Miguel looking for his dad.
Okay.
Heck, because like the end, because through all, what was it, last season? Was it last season or whatever? his mom would say something about his dad, and it sounded like it was like just a bad situation. So I'm really, but then, like I said, Ross,
her mom was trying to jump on that eagle thing. I mean, that was clear in the moment.
But
all I can say is talk to me after episode 2.
Okay.
So talk to me after episode 2. Developing story. But all right, that's all I got. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to bring this up because I just loved it. Y'all watched anything fun this week other than the stuff we covered? Because I did.
I did rewatch Thor, and I thought that it was still absolutely fantastic the second time around.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, and I liked it both times. So
I saw Jaws last weekend.
You saw Jaws? Okay, good deal. I actually almost went and saw Jaws in theaters on movie day because I almost couldn't pass up the deal, but I had nobody to go with, and
I think I laughed.
I went to go see.
I think I laughed on
Bullet Train. That was good.
Oh, was Bullet Train good? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, my son wants to see that, but I'm like, dude, I'm not taking you to a theater to watch that. No.
I didn't hear anything good on that. Like, I didn't hear anything bad on it either. But like, nobody was like, "Oh, you've got to see this movie."
It's an opening to no. It's not like, I mean, it's not a must watch. It's just, it was just a good movie. Like, I missed a movie in theaters I really wanted to go see, and it was that. Oh shit! I'm not gonna remember. Everything all at once had a different word in it too, but it was. I'll send you guys the link to it. It's now finally like for rent in some places. I was just waiting for it to show up on a streaming service. But beyond that, like, I know that there's a movie coming out soon. I mean, obviously there's Black Adam, but that Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh movie looks pretty good.
Oh, Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to see that.
I'm invested more in the drama behind it than the actual movie.
Yeah. I mean, the premise was interesting, but I mean, like, this week, like, I think I watched Me Time last week on Netflix, and I watched
the Mark Wahlberg one. Me
Yeah.
Time. Yeah, I almost turned that on the other day just because it's got Mark Wahlberg in it, so I know it's gonna be good. But I'm trying to think. I did watch one movie this week that, and y'all may pick on me for this, I don't even care. Look, I like musicals, okay, and I watched Rock of Ages this week.
Oh yeah,
never seen it before.
Is that the one with Cruise?
Really?
Tom Cruise?
That's the one with Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Okay.
Never seen it before. I love 80s music, and my wife was like, I watched half this movie and I turned it off because you've got to watch the rest with me. I didn't watch the movie at all. I just listened. The whole movie is just like the absolute best 80s music ever compiled together with 2 minutes of dialogue in between each song. So my wife just played it on her tablet, and I was just playing a game the whole time. Didn't watch the movie at all, but absolutely loved the experience because I felt like I was at an 80s best concert. Like every song from the 80s that you love, we're going to put it on here, and we're going to give it a little twist, and it was fun. And so, once again, very old movie. I think it was like 2010 or 11, something like that when I saw it. It's an old movie, but a really, really good one. If you like musicals and if you like 80s music, I'd highly recommend it.
Where did you watch it? Where did you watch it off of?
I think Netflix.
He didn't watch it. He said,
No,
listen
yeah,
to
it was
Where'd
Netflix.
you hear it off of?
That's right. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. No, Netflix, because I remember we tried to play it on my TV, but Netflix on my TV always messes up, so we end up watching Netflix on the tablet. So yeah, it was definitely Netflix. But
I've
really, really great movie. You never seen it?
Mm-mm.
Do you like 80s music?
Did you seriously ask me that?
You're gonna who doesn't like 80s music? Like, I literally looked at my wife when this was going on, and I said, I don't give a shit what anybody says. This is hands down the best time in music, period. Like, every song they put on there, I don't care, dude. Every song they put on there, I could fucking rock out and jam to and just love it the whole time. There's been some great music. Ross, you're a big music guy. I grew up with you, and I've listened to a ton of music, and we have some great music through the 90s, through the 2000s. But if I had to pick one genre of music for the rest of my life, it's 80s hair band music. You know, like,
There
I
you
don't
go.
know what
That's
it
the
is,
key
man.
word
It's
right there, my friend.
so
That's the key
good.
word.
So good.
Hair band.
Yes, so good. But yeah, if you haven't checked that movie out, it's definitely a really good
I
one.
just
to
put it
check
on my
out. It's
list,
fun.
so don't worry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, you don't have to watch
I
it.
will give
just play it and listen.
notable mention. Last weekend was the holy crap, the Foo Fighters
Their horror movie.
No, the show that they put on for their drummer that passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you haven't watched the one clip where they played, there's 2 songs, but when he played My Hero, and his son got up there and drumming, like, that was real. That was like it hurt, like, watching it. Yeah. That was a real notable thing to watch.
And then the only thing I think of is Blood and Honey comes out next week, I think. I don't know if y'all are Winnie the Pooh or horror fans, which I'm neither.
Oh, I did see the trailer to that.
So Blood and Honey comes out next week.
Y'all can keep that.
They filmed this in 10 days,
I remember
y'all.
watching it, and I was like, what is happening right now? And then I read
that.
No one has rights over Winnie the Pooh. It's free and clear. And I'm like,
right. So somebody just put a movie together in 10 days. Yep. I haven't seen the preview myself, but I've heard about it. I'll say, did it look horrible? Because I heard from some people it didn't look that bad.
No, it didn't look horrible. That's what I'm saying. Like, cinematography wise, it didn't look horrible. Now, the premise of, like,
was
Winnie
horrible.
the Pooh and Piglet,
horrible.
That was horrible.
All right. It's hard to make a horror story of that. But I guess, once again, copyright runs out on everything. Eventually, we're going to get all this stuff with the copyright if they don't renew them. So.
What did I read before? It's Winnie the Pooh lives life in a crop top and eating his favorite food. You can too if you live life right. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Why the face? You could have a good time.
All right, y'all. I'm spent. I got nothing else. That was all I wanted to say. You got anything else?
Wait, talk about Cobra Kai next week.
About what?
Obi-Wan Kenobi. You guys got to watch that.
Yes, I want to watch.
Well, see, Brian's been watching Industrial Light and Magic.
That's a good show.
What is it?
That was a good show.
Yeah, he had a couple of flights this week, so he downloaded an episode because it was long enough because it was a short flight from Raleigh to LaGuardia. So that's what he was watching. So he was telling me about, I guess, the birth of Pixar.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
they made Pixar just as a project. I mean, I knew all that history going into it, but it was just a fun thing for them to do.
That's interesting.
And I think the only one I thought was just like when they were making like the Star Wars, when they were doing all the other stuff, but then it's like just the cameras. I'm like, it's
a good watch.
Dude.
Okay.
And really at the same time, like, I mean, it's fun to watch the visuals, but you don't really have to like pay much attention.
The technology that you learn about how they like created all that stuff is just
what's it called
crazy. Industrial Light and Magic.
Industrial Light and Magic. Let me write that.
That's the history of
Industrial Light and Magic, has their hands in almost every single thing that comes to screen. And so that company was founded and developed by George Lucas for the production of Star Wars, and it had its ups and downs, but it's the biggest thing happening. I mean, at the end of any credits, Industrial Light and Magic is typically mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been, like, as much as I am like a Star Wars fan, I love all the things going into it. Like, as much as I love the music, Industrial Light and Magic is the number one thing that I enjoy about what that has brought us, because that company is phenomenal. And those guys were a bunch of fun hellions who just created
hanging out in the
stuff.
garage, just building
Yeah.
stuff, and just
There's
they
people
needed a
doing stuff
need.
they
They didn't have
love.
the technology. They
They
created it.
paid for it. Yeah. That's
So
what you want.
all
to
that's
work.
amazing, and nowadays they still use that same technology in just a slightly different way.
That's crazy.
Do you remember when The Mandalorian came out and Jon Favreau was running the circuits talking about it was before it even came out, about how they were going to be using practical effects, and they used one shot of the Razor Crest, and they like showed it like swooping in, and he was so proud of it. But he was so proud of it because it used the same exact stuff that Industrial Light and Magic used way back in the day.
Right.
And it was so simple. So
well, they did a lot of new stuff whenever the first Mandalorian came out, or not new stuff, but at least it was new to me. I didn't know they were doing a film, but it's funny because they use the same technology we use in the Army for like SAM's training, for like driving in different countries. The same technology. It's like surrounded by screens that create an environment, and you're centered in it, and then everything's filmed around you. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I've known that technology for a long time, but it wasn't nearly that whenever we were using it in the Army. And if if it's advanced now, they probably aren't using the super advanced stuff in the Army. They're probably still using the same.
Oh yeah, no.
So,
well, game systems, like gaming companies, really what brought that to light. And if you've if you get a chance to rewatch Thor, like I put that on when I was working out one day, and still so funny. Love it. I really love that movie, and watching the behind the scenes, they encompassed a little bit more of the volume and how they used the volume and the shoot and everything else. I don't think they went like as far as in depth as that Disney Galleria behind the scenes of the Mandalorian, blah blah blah. But it's a mouthful. But they showed more of it, and it was really good. So,
okay, I'll definitely check it out. Well, all right. You have anything else?
Nope.
Everything scratched off my
2.5
notepad. I think we covered it. Yeah, it was a
2.5
good show. We had a lot to cover this week, though, and we didn't even really talk about a lot of D23. So, I mean, like that just shows you how much stuff there is. We went through a time where it was kind of like a lull, where there wasn't a lot going on, but it was only like a 2 or 3 week period, and then just everything ramped back up again. So, we have guests coming on the last 2 weeks of this month. We have a guest coming on November 4th to talk about their products, their comics, and we're going to promote those. We're going to continue to cover these shows throughout the next few weeks, but beyond that, it's business as usual. So, Ross, where can they find you at?
Only here, right here, this place right here.
Aki. That's right. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on the Twitter at Melody Kitten. Be sitting there just perusing everything, just trying to, learn. I mean, like I said, I didn't know about the Ezra Bridger thing, which I'm really surprised. So I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about that. But that's pretty much it. And then, of course, here Friday nights. Hi. Other than that, that's about it. But you might hear me on C3 every now and again, since everything's gearing up. But I don't know. That depends on how mad I am.
We will
a lot of anger lately.
Yeah, we will definitely hear you on C3. That's for sure.
A lot of anger lately.
Well, we're going to ease that. 13-4 this season. Baker Mayfield's the answer.
I'm looking forward to seeing
Baker Bottom. I'll go ahead and tell you, Baker Bottoms. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52. Check me out on Twitter on that handle. The show handle is at GCS Podcast 1. Hit me up there. We're live every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Sometimes it varies, but generally we try to hit about this point. I drop the audio. I'm actually starting to drop the audio immediately after this show's done because it's just easier. And now that we're covering House of Dragon on Sunday, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to drop the review of the previous week the day after the new episode came out. So for at least the time being, and probably, as things go in the future, I'm going to start dropping the episodes as soon as this comes out. So it'll be on any podcatcher of your choice. Check us out. Give us a like. Give us a review. Check me out on C3 Panthers Podcast Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 4:30 every Sunday after the game. Well, not necessarily 4:30. After the game on Sundays. Most of the Panthers games are at 1, so generally 4:30. But that may change based on what the Panthers game is. But check those out. If you're a Panthers fan, it's a fun time. We have a really good time. It's totally fan-oriented, just like this show. So if you're a fan, hit me up. Be involved. Let us know what you like, and we'll keep going. But I guess until next week, y'all, I got nothing else. So keep pounding.
Bye, guys.
Later.